show coming from the RAC store. With this back in the Mac in the back flow. Let's go, chillin' with raccoons by the back door. Take calls so you can stake more. All I wanna do is making dough, right? But I found this crew and doing alright. We RAC will bitch, ready to fight. So many raccoons ready for the boss life. I might fly high like a kite, right? But always ready for a shite for the right price. Raccoon supply has the right price. Giving you respect if it's likewise. So I'm buying all the mean guys with the clean heart. Read between lies, laser beam through lean eyes. Warrior with clean lies, trash mouth, mean smile, be wise. NFT wise, fuck with these guys. It's the RAC lab from the back lab. 110 of these in my backpack. Crazy RAC lab from the stash app. RAC will take a lead in this haystack. It's the RAC lab from the back.
Good morning, RAC FM, and it's 0800 EST. And what does the O stand for? Oh my God, Robo's hanging out. He's fucking today. Pray for Robo. Anyway, it's Friday, 31st of March, 2023, and this is your daily Cosmos Crypto US of A breakfast show with your host, Robo, Mayor of Rackville, and your favourite pundits. And today on the panel, we've been joined by the wonderful Bbandz from the block and put the token in the dough, Mr. Arnie himself. So Bbandz, how are you doing? Are you okay, darling?
Yep, doing great. Getting ready for my day. Gonna go to the gym in a little bit, get the blood flowing so that my brain juices work good. But anyways, good morning.
Did you say day or date?
Day.
Oh,
Getting ready for my day. Oh, no. I went out yesterday already. I had a date with my husband yesterday. But I'm going out to the gym today.
Cheeky little midweek date night, eh?
Yeah, it's nice. It's like, I don't know. It's nice to go on a Thursday and there's not a lot of people out and stuff like that. And come back early because I'm old, not have too much drinks and just, I don't know, just relax.
As you together longer and longer, Bbandz, does the date nights become more important than that, yeah?
I mean, I don't know. It's weird. We will hang out all day together and then we'll even go to the gym together and then we still want to go on dates.
Aww.
So we must really like each other.
Yeah, that's precious as hell. That's adorable.
Well, you're saying that to her, but he might think she's like a GPS anklet, what they put on you when you've...
No. Listen. It's my mother-in-law. Listen, my mother-in-law, she has a 360 thing app, and she has requested all of the family members to log on to this app so she can see where everybody is all the time. And I was even she knows where anybody in the family is except for me and Andrew, because we were we're not doing that. We don't need a tracking device. We love you. We know that you get nervous and you're worried about our health and stuff like that. But you're not going to be able to save me if you're tracking me and I'm in fucking 3 states away. So that's that. But she's so sweet. I love her so much.
I've never heard of that mind coming up with a tracking thing for the family. I mean, people might do it for their kids or something, but not when he's a grown man. Andrew's a grown man,
Oh no, my sister-in-law gladly does it. She loves it. She's like, I wonder where mom is. And then she'll pull up the phone. She's like, oh, she'll be here in 2 minutes. And then she'll be like, I wonder where my man is. And then she'll oh, okay, he's at that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna tell you that it's really unhealthy and I'm creeped out right now. I'm so glad you don't know where I'm at.
Do you know what I didn't like? I didn't like when we moved in this house and the wife got all the CCTV cameras put up everywhere. And fucking she's away. She's away and she's like, are you sitting out in the garden drinking again, are you? And I'm like, yeah. So I unplugged them, right? She went fucking mental. She came back. She lost her shit completely. I was like, ooh.
Bro, how funny is that? You leave the UK, but you end up in the fucking CCTV state anyway at home. How funny is that?
Bro, the Thais, every fucking Thai wants the CCTV, remote access shit going on over here, man. They're really bad for it, Proper paranoid to death about their houses. But I also think they're just fucking nosy as well,
I think you're right, man. I have a friend, he does the same with his kids. So he sits at a cafe and then he watches his kids and he tells them over the microphone to do their homework. He just enjoys the power too much.
Oh, that's no good. Do you know
what's the new American dream, right? It's to have a place where you can hang a Ring doorbell. It's not to own a house. It's to be able to get an apartment or rent a house where you can hang a Ring doorbell and then feel like an elite cyber lord because you know when the packages are being delivered and stuff, right? Like, I hate how common this is in culture right now, especially with the laws and stuff going down in the U.S. The ridiculous VPN law that was proposed.
But it's funny, right? It's like we all going like we don't want to be surveilled. Don't want to be watched over by Big Brother. But then we all set up these fucking CCTVs so we can watch over each other.
I don't know.
No, but
you need a
listen,
disclaimer for that all. Go ahead, Bbandz.
Sheldon, you just said something that I want to kind of circle back to. You said that they're doing a VPN law. They're trying to pass a VPN law. What was that?
Yeah, it's called the Restrict Act. It's called the Restrict Act. Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit?
I'm not going to lie, my brain's shorting out. Let me pull it up and get it back to you in about a minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's a good breakdown, Bbandz, on the Mises Caucus page on Twitter. Go to the Mises Caucus. M-I-S-I-S, Mises. Oh, sorry, M-I-S-U-S, I think it is. Mises Caucus. They've got a really...
M-O-U-K-U-I, M-O-U... M-I-S-U-K-U-I. What was that?
Stop taking the piss, you. M-I-S-U-S, I believe it is. They've just... I retweeted it the other day. They've just released, like... some shit about it. I mean, it's an assault on freedom, you know. Yeah?
Yep.
It's a proper...
I gotta go to the computer right now. Hold on.
But the American government, they know something about freedom. I think the only government in the world that can exercise stuff like that because they're the freedom experts. So I think it's okay.
You sound like the majority of Americans I've talked to in the past 10 years are trying to radicalize people into data privacy. like you were saying, I don't have a Ring. I don't have anything that surveils me like that. I turn off location services for everything. Yeah, the Restrict Act was a
right. So we've got, obviously we said we had
Oh, Robo is getting rocked, man.
a healthy... Yeah, well, we're going to give
Sheldon
you a
was
very
talking. I don't
healthy
think.
raccoon. We're going to give you a very healthy raccoon welcoming. So without further ado, let's go over to the man of the moment. He's making some waves in the industry right now, he is. Sheldon, my friend, welcome to RAC FM, sir. Your first, official appearance here.
I'm making waves, but I was trying to come here and hitch my boat up to the dock. Yeah, it's funny. I came to Bali to do less, to calm down, to focus on my health. I'm happy that I'm here to focus on my health, but boy, there is so much more cool stuff to do. We're looking at launching an IaaS platform. I'm looking at building a data center next week. Like there's way more going down than there was beforehand, and that includes Web3, but also locally here in Bali, and also outside of Web3 in other technology spaces, not just AI, but also radio communications and a whole bunch of other things. Like, man, the world has been on fire for the past 2 weeks. I picked a weird time to go on a attempted vacation and fail.
You know, the one thing I was going to ask you, Sheldon, is it a case of you've been to Bali before, you've been to Asia and Bali's your favourite? Just out of curiosity, why Bali of all places? Now, I do know they've got a very good blockchain community in Indonesia, a lot of devs, right? It's very popular over there, yeah. But why particularly like Bali? What stood out for you?
So, truth be told, the majority of tech sector in Indonesia is in Jakarta, where there are better fiber connections. Bali is not terrible as far as, relatively small islands go for fiber connections and internet, but Bali is a better balance of, let's say, non-commercial life and some sort of commercial life. That's what I was looking for, is to come here and unplug for a bit. My initial plan was only to hang out in Bali for 2 weeks, maybe 3, see how I like it, blah, blah, blah. I really like it. It's crazy, but I really like it. And the plan was for me to move on to Jakarta and then to keep visiting other people in different places, including you, Robo. And I'm like, that's still the plan effectively, but there are things for me to get done locally that are making me think, is it advantageous for me to get an apartment here? I'm basically between getting an apartment here and one in Kuala Lumpur. I'm about to finish the scoping process here because I found that I can get a basically prefab house, semi-prefab house for $160K new construction. So that's what I'm looking at, is that does it make sense for me to stay here? Because I wanted a place where I could feel like I maybe wasn't on vacation all the time, but wasn't right in the middle of downtown Miami for the sake of operations. The same is going to be true out here, and I was kidding myself to think I could get away from this. You do need to show up in person to be valuable in different engagements. It is quite annoying. But It's true. Latency is lower IRL. So that's basically what I'm looking at is that, will it be worth it for me to, get an apartment? I think probably not. It's more likely that I'll rent a room or pay for some storage space in a friend's office or something like that, and then move on to Jakarta, spend some time there, and keep going. I did actually find out that there was a unfortunate sort of blending of different associations in Jakarta. There was a blockchain association started by a friend of mine there that I was really hoping to talk to. I think I'll still get to interface with them, but they've been basically merged with a series of centralized exchange businesses. So imagine, developers that have Cosmos grade attitudes mixing into a group that is sort of going to redirect to the incentives and motivations of centralized exchanges. That's quite bad, right? So all the more reason why I want to show up and see who I can talk to and see how much I can understand. But the truth is, I need to reverse engineer how Bali works a little bit before I make a move. I'm here learning how visas work, how internet regulation here works. I'm reading through a contract that is a fiber relationship between a certain office and an ISP. Like, I have work to do here in person, physically, realistically. I'm so happy that I'm here first. If I had gone to Jakarta first, I'm sure I would have gone somewhere else by now. I'm not the guy who wants to live in New York. But anyway, enough about the personal stuff. From a crypto perspective, there is a community here in Bali. It is a little bit more on the trader side. So that's not really keeping me here at the moment. To be fair, I also haven't made it out to Ubud, where there's supposed to be, a little bit better groups in that way. I think that I'm going to end up moving on to Jakarta for business sake, but it's nice here, man. I like Uluwatu. I like a grassy, beachy area.
Tell me when you're going to Jakarta, and I'll say like a prayer for your soul, okay?
Sure. Well, I'm riding scooter out here, so I can't be much more vulnerable than that. I think I'll be okay. Thank you, bud. I've
never heard anybody say a nice word about Jakarta. Never. And my friend lived there for 2.5 years, and he says every time I talk to him, biggest shithole he's ever known, And when it floods, bro, the floods, yeah, fucking hell, Sheldon, it's so bad, man, so bad.
The floods, the traffic that can take days. I mean, it sounds like a lot of things that I'm going to be very, very uncomfortable with, but at the same time, everybody who I've talked to in Bali who has sons, friends, daughters, peers in IT of some type, they end up going to Jakarta for work. It makes me think I'll find more crypto folk there that are, developers that are thoughtful.
Yeah. That's the only reason you're going there is just that there's far more people. Do you know what's really weird? That they've signed off on it. Joko, the president, signed off on it. They're actually relocating the entire capital of Jakarta, or certainly all of the administration, etc. And they're actually going to move the capital over to Borneo, to the Indonesian part of Borneo. Do you know about that, Sheldon?
What? No.
Right. Basically, they've got, I think it's this 10-year plan, right? And they're going to move something like 1.5 million people, all of the admin buildings for the government itself, parliament, everything's going to be on Borneo. There's a really good documentary about how long they've taken for the planning, because Jakarta's sinking at a terrible rate. Have you seen the houses collapsing and stuff there, yeah?
I've heard about that. I haven't dug into it too much, but I've heard that it's overcapacity there, basically.
Yeah, correct. So, what a lot of people don't know is about what Jakarta's like, or what's weird about it is it's a real kind of natural floodplain, right? It's the city is kind of below the outside water level, right? The actual main part of the city, it dips, doesn't it, in into a floodplain, and the entire thing just fills up, yeah? After that, they've taken all the groundwater out. I think it's the fastest sinking city in the world right now or something.
There is a lot of limestone here. That is one of the things that I noticed is that the Vishnu project, the GWK thing in Bali, that's this, one of the largest statues in the world, literally taller than the Statue of Liberty, similar construction style, by the way. That project took almost 40 years to come to fruition because they started planning it back when. And at some point there was economic downturn and they paused development. It's a really scary thought to think that Jakarta could have this plan in place because the city is sinking, because the island is physically over capacity, and then turn around and, not have the funds for it for sustainability purposes. That sounds like a real possibility to me based on what you're saying. I need to do more research on this realistically. But yeah, Jakarta, I was only going for business. So if they want to keep doing business, then hey, decentralize your capital, I guess. de-risk it more, like not even decentralized,
Well,
just
there's been I think like 3 or 4 examples in history where they've actually like totally not relocated like capitals like in that manner. One of the best ones was actually in Burma, which is now Myanmar. I forgot what the name of it is. Like shit, what's its name? The capital. Basically, it's the one where Top Gear were there, where they were having like on the like 7-8 lane motorways, and there was nobody there, and they were just like racing around with their cars. They basically took the capital and just relocated it right into the center of the country. And there was just like nothing there. And they've literally built up this capital city and it's huge and there's nobody there. It's really fucking weird. Like, it's just empty, the entire thing. It's amazing if you see it. All these government buildings and that. It's like phenomenal, but there's nobody there.
Well, from a central planning perspective, it's basically the Olympics, right? That actually sounds pretty good. Like, not to cut you off, but hear me out for a second. If your model is that every 10 to 30 years you're going to have to make a significant adjustment because of resources, then just plan for that and be ready to turn over your old, Capitol buildings into museums and housing and, community organizations and stuff like that. That doesn't sound so terrible to me. I mean, it sounds like a weird resource allocation to say, hey, we're going to build these massive structures that are supposed to be for the leaders of our, country, and then move on to the next thing. But also, if you actually plan to do that more than once in succession, you're not talking about temp buildings. You're talking about temporary purposes, right? You would have to be making it make sense after the initial body, who governs or who eats or who sleeps leaves. It sounds really interesting to me. It sounds like the kind of thing that I could never see in the States, but could actually work here.
Well, before I pass you over to Bbandz or Brucey, there is a question I did want to ask. I think you've been away, like a couple of weeks now, right? About 2-3 weeks, yeah?
I think this is the third now. Yeah, I think this is 3.
Okay. What are you missing the most from back home? Anything or nothing? Like, is it like a 3 a.m. Wendy's or what is it?
I'm going to sound like such a dork. I miss my access to high grade and different varieties around the world of electronics. It's not nearly as good on the island of Bali. On Jakarta, it's supposed to be better, but still, there was a pair of Sennheiser headphones that I was like, oh, these are at every duty-free shop. I'll be able to get these later. Nope. I'm still using my Jobber 85Hs from a few years ago, and I'm not liking them that much anymore. They're not bad, but they're kind of tired. So I wanted to get a very specific set of new headphones. I'm quite picky about that. Not really an option here. I've gone to multiple malls and electronics retailers and specialists, and some of them have similar products. A lot of people on the street, of course, have fake versions, but I'm not mad at the fakes. That's like a regular economic thing everywhere you go where there's street vendors. I'm frustrated that it's going to be really hard for me to get enterprise gear here because, like I said, I'm serious about building an infrastructure as a service platform. That takes real physical gear, and it's probably going to be a little bit of a pain to get it in here. Like, I know how to do that internationally, but that's the thing. I miss my shopability for electronics and network appliances and computers and stuff.
Third world problems, right? Yeah.
I mean, we're right here next to where those devices are all produced. I thought it would be easier.
Yeah. Come to Bangkok, you'll not have that problem. You can get what you want, son, you see? See, you picked the wrong place, didn't you? Yeah. Never mind.
I'll come around.
Bbandz, Brucey, got anything on the journey to Bali story or questions or what?
Yeah, I want to hear how it's going with the scooter journey. If he's fitting in or if he's still a fucking madman on the roads.
Oh boy. Let's see. I guess I have had a what would you call it? A small oopsie, a non-consequential oopsie, a short stop that resulted in some plastic touching but no metal parts, no sparks, nobody hurt, nothing causing wrong. The main thing is just ankles. I keep whacking my ankles on the stands, the little pegs that like the second rider is supposed to use, and the foot stand and all this stuff. Like I'm not used to scooters, so when I go to like do the waddle like you do in slow traffic, between that and getting back on, I'm always knocking my ankles. So my left ankle especially is really bruised up. It's fine, I haven't cut myself or anything. But even if I had, I carry antiseptic spray with me, and then I'd keep moving. The scooter adventure, that's probably how I would describe it to be concise. I could give a long ramble about some stuff, but going up and down hills is a little bit scary because I come from Florida man, flat boy land. So yeah, the up and down hills has been a little bit scary. Getting used to the difference in traffic circles, because traffic circles aren't just flowing from the left instead of, right. Like, you drive on the right hand side in the US, you drive on the left hand side in Indonesia. It's not just that, it's the culture of don't stop, but don't wait too long, and make sure you weasel in behind somebody else who's kind of speeding past you as they cut through the intersection. Sometimes it's been me. Like, honestly, traffic circles, I think, are the part that still scares me the most, but there is still 2 traffic circles that I enter and exit on a regular basis, and I haven't hit or hurt anybody yet except me. So I call that a win.
Oh, that's perfect, man. Also, like I've given you a nickname. I don't know if you know it, but I think Scooter would be a really, really appropriate nickname for you.
No.
Just see Sheldon going
weird.
around in the big circle because he doesn't know which exit he has to take.
Exactly.
There goes Scooter.
Like fucking Pee Wee Herman or something.
I'd like you thinking about Scooter off the Muppets, Scooter off the Muppets. The scientist.
No, I'm a Beaker guy. Beaker's my Muppet. Like, I'm stuck on that one for whatever reason.
Oh, he's the one that's always getting like blown up and experimented on and shit, right?
Well, I mean, he's the mad scientist, so he's doing a lot of the experimenting, but also he's quite frequently the victim of that other scientist. Yeah, and he just freaks out.
What's the other guy's name? He looks like looks like a mole. I don't know what he.
I don't know about the smaller one, but the orange tublet with fuzzy orange hair sticking up way high. That's my guy. That guy describes the constant state of existential panic that my life actually falls around. But yeah, from a Scooty perspective, I've had some weird nicknames in the past. I was called Turtle for a short period because somebody had named their turtle Sheldon and thought it was hilarious. I was like, okay, sure. We were stuck on a boat, like literally. What am I going to say? So and I was a kid. I didn't really know how to change that conversation or pivot that. I'll tolerate Scooter. I'm not wearing that name. I'm not going to own that. I won't take agency into that, but I'm not rejecting it either because I have made a whole big deal about it. And people from Indo are absolutely noticing that I'm the dumb American on the scooter, and I wear a really like loud outfit to make sure that people notice. I'm wearing these like blue blocker, go over the glasses, sunglasses. I stick out on purpose, right? That's my technique. Is to peacock a little bit.
Do you have a helmet? Do you have a helmet?
Calling me out here. Okay, I have a helmet. It's been sitting in my hotel the whole time because the first day that I wore it. No, I mean everyone tells me I should be wearing it. It's against the law not to wear it. If you come to Indo and you're a tourist, please wear your helmet. The Gojek guy will give you a helmet to wear, but the helmet infringes on my peripheral vision. And being someone with crap eyesight, needing to communicate in a lawless anarchical road model, I need my peripheral vision more than I need my head.
No, what? No. Wait, don't they have the kind that just goes on your head like a bicycle helmet? Like, not the one that's like full.
No, but I definitely need some spinal protection if I'm going to be falling off of the thing at 30 kilometers an hour. There's a type of helmet that doesn't infringe on my periphery. I'm looking to buy one. I'm getting there. I'm supposed to be doing that this weekend. Thank you for the reminder, Mom.
Yeah, we need to keep that lovely brain of yours intact so that it can be used and it can save the world. Okay, Sheldon?
I'm going to start a campaign. Keep Scooter safe. Keep Scooter safe.
And
terrible.
Very, very funny. Can the professional...
Before Robo, before we go...
Wait a minute.
Next up. Sorry, I would just like to remind Sheldon what happened with Eric the Neck Weisenan. If you go Google Eric the Neck Weisenan, you will only see our interview with him. So Sheldon, just be prepared.
What kind of threat is that?
It's not a threat. It's a fact, bro. It's like, it's going to happen. Be ready.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll put a shirt on and maybe pack a lunch.
Thank you. Go ahead,
hi, Zoe.
Robo.
Good morning. Oh, hi, Robo. Sorry.
Yo. Oh.
Just want to say hi, Soy, or hi, Robo there. Anyway.
A little of both.
I did a little bit of both, but I think Robo's rugging right now because I can't hear him at all. So, Soy, take the mic. Good morning.
Thank you, Bbandz. Just enjoying your...
What you breaking the rules of the Friday show for? What you playing at? I left the room for 2 seconds and you break the rules that we've had in place for 3 months. What's going on, Bbandz? It's not 7th.
I want Soy to be my friend.
It's not 7th of April, is it? It's on next week. What are you bringing this bell in for?
Soy, I'm not trying to get in trouble.
Hey, what, you gonna have to kick me out or what?
Oh, that would be awkward, wouldn't it?
Don't do that.
I won't kick
That'd be
you out.
fucking awkward. That's on Bbandz' fucking shoulders now. She's
I
fucking
won't
carnage
do it.
she's caused, hasn't she?
You stay. You stay.
What kind of
so
180 is that? No,
You
stay, bro. It's
right
cool.
And I want to tell Sheldon,
it's good to see you, sorry.
listen, I agree with you. The peripheral vision is a real thing. And Bbandz, you don't wear those open face helmets. That's how you break your jaw, right? Open face helmets are an absolute no-no. You've got to be a Chad. You've got to buy something like a shark helmet. They're like probably like one of the best you can get, right? Forgot the other brand, Shark and something else. I'll get the other brand name in a minute. Sheldon, you think that you've lost your peripheral vision and you haven't. You just need to get your head working more. Get that fucking blind spot checked like 80 times a minute, right? But trust me, when I first had a full face helmet on, dude, it was weird as fuck, right? Like driving around the streets, not like in the fields there, like when I was a kid, you know? Bro, you get used to it in like half an hour. Seriously, it's really easy to like get used to a full face helmet.
All day, the first day, I wore it because I was terrified that I was going to fall and that I knew I needed to protect my noggin. And then I spent most of the day being annoying to other people who had to avoid me because I would move a little bit and not have a good time seeing the mirror that was right in front of me, but also not seeing the side. Because when I'm looking at my mirrors and I'm actually just sitting and driving normally, I'm really using part of my periphery. It's not quite that far over. My face is bigger than that, but yeah, I think I'm looking for the sort of like wide face still protects you helmet. I did not know to look for the brand Shark. I will definitely look for that. I appreciate the tip, Robo. I'm not trying to die, but I am very careful.
Oh,
people seem really nice here. Like that's the main part of the anarchy. It's great anarchy. Say again, bud.
Give him a second. He's not feeling so well. Might have a little extra.
Hey, that's okay. Well, just to give you a quick story, one of the things that was really, really interesting to me from a systematic structure perspective, there was one time where I was in traffic. I was pulling away from this office where I'm working. I do, like anyone who's listening, I do not legally work in Bali right now. All my employment comes from funding outside the country. I just happen to be considering partnering with an entity who's here in Bali. This is recorded spaces, so there you go. I'm pulling away from this office where I've been spending some time. And all of a sudden, I notice where normally I have like a wide open throttle to just go woo across some like straightaway, it's really clogged. And other people are also surprised that it's really clogged. And up ahead, I see some people just kind of standing. And I'm like, oh, what the hell? What is this? What does this look like? What, is there a street vendor stopped here? What's happening? One person, a middle-aged gentleman who didn't look that old, maybe 50s, probably mid to late 40s, had taken a fall. And it looks like he had sort of like worn through his jeans on the scrape. So his knee is bleeding a little bit. And, he had pants there before. Clearly, there's just a sort of like torn, ripped up spot. Now, the knee that you can see, even though I only saw it for a few seconds, was, dirty and, scraped up. He obviously took a fall and went down on that body part. And the rest of him wasn't in such great shape either. Now, the fact that his shirt was a little bit tore up makes me think that he was going a decent speed or that he hooked into somebody else. But the thing that really got me from a systematic perspective was everybody slowed down like we always do, because it is truly anarchy in that you are communicating with everybody who is near you through body language, through eye contact, through staying in your lane in a certain position, through, trying to look like you're going to jump up on the sidewalk, from glancing in your mirror, etc. From all of that stuff, there is still a bunch of these delivery drivers, Gojek and Grab, seemingly unassociated with situation, all different companies, just different guys that are like blocking the road to make sure there's a comfortable amount of space for this old man who's just sitting on the sidewalk. They literally interrupted traffic, segmenting off 2 or 3 feet, maybe about a meter of the road, so that there was less room for the bikes to scoot by the normal traffic of cars. And in doing that, it caused this clump up. But it was really incredible to me that as soon as people realized that they were sort of like blocking the road to protect this guy who was clearly on the phone with a ambulance service or some other doctor that was going to help or something like that. People didn't just not get annoyed. They feel like the vibe was feel bad a little bit, slow down, but don't fuck with traffic. Just keep going, go nice and slow in case somebody's standing or walking. Just take it easy. Don't be a tourist like everybody is in Miami and slow down to take pictures of the accident, because people do that. If you want to see what that looks like, go on Instagram and search only in Dade. That's really how that looks. But it was interesting to me because that's where I come from, is that environment of only in Dade, of the 305 of Miami. And to see the polar opposite where people had no capital motivation to help this guy and probably lost money from not delivering orders during rush hour when there's a like sort of pay bump. But the delivery guys were protecting this just random middle-aged guy, and everyone was totally sympathetic with it. And that was the only thing close to an accident that I actually saw. It's weird how well it works. Like it's very it's not mesh networky, but it's very like broadcast networky. Like you're broadcasting to the people around you that you are going to try to pass on the right side, or that you are going to try to pass on the left side, or that you're a slow tourist and you're scared and you're just going to ride behind this truck because you're too nervous to pass and it's not really safe. Like it is a really interesting dynamic. I'll leave it there. That's, I'm rambling. It's the end of the story, but like it's really interesting how well it works for how chaotic it is. It's cultural. Robo, you still with us? You didn't cough up a lung while we let you go, did you? You back, brother?
Oh, bro, I've just been getting so badly rugged. Twitter's going mental tonight, so I'm hanging on in so we don't lose the space. But yeah, I was just having a little cheeky spliff, like, and it's fucking so strong.
Can you throw me co-host as well, because I'm actually in your region. I don't think it'll necessarily make a difference, but from a redundancy perspective, I say worst case scenario, I'm about 60 milliseconds of latency closer to you, if I'm not mistaken. Just making a guess here, like,
There you go.
I like it.
Like Bbandz,
like
you're
how
in the
Sheldon
continental
talks to
US.
me.
Bruce is in like actually, Bruce, where are you? I forget. Oh,
Europe.
okay. Well, then, yeah,
I'm in Denmark. So yeah, I can just jump down. There's only allowed 2 co-host spots, so I'll just jump
Are
down.
you sure? I thought that you can have more than 2 co-host spots.
Yeah,
I did send him one, mine, Bruce. I did send him one, and it didn't say like you can't. So I don't know.
Okay.
It didn't say anything to me. Twitter Spaces. Yeah, I don't see any pop up or anything. Anyway,
Sheldon, can I just check something though, dude? Have you left the Octopus team now or not, or are you still there?
I have not left Octopus Network. I'm happy to explain what happened because my role did change significantly. I actually proposed to leave. So last year, close to the end of the year, I knew we were having some problems that were internal and that we were working on. Some that we knew were not going to be insurmountable. So we were starting to look at downsizing and different things like that. So I was looking at getting a second job in near ecosystem or somewhere else to pay the bills and to make things make sense and to still keep advocating for the concepts that I signed up for. And what had happened was I was still looking for part-time work, augment work on the side, when I had effectively taken too long. It was mid-December. And instead of doing some weird New Year's firing scandal, which I'm very grateful Lewis and the team decided not to do, what Lewis and leadership decided is that they would offer severance to the front end of the team based on tenure. And I was one of the highest tenured. So I insisted that it wouldn't be ethical for me to accept severance and also to remain an employee, because that kind of defeats the purpose of severance. But I knew that if I remained an employee, my pay would go down by 25%. And with my debts the way that they were and my costs the way that they were, that wasn't a great fit for me in Miami. Miami is a very expensive place. At the time, I wasn't really factoring in something like moving to Bali. But that was roughly the target was, okay, it doesn't necessarily make sense for me to have this as an almost full-time job and then try to transition into side gigs. I should just let this be my sort of main side gig while I start working on decentralizing my revenue. And I know that sounds like an absolute ham, but that's the most concise way I can describe it. And it has worked out tremendously well. So effectively, I reduced my pay by 75% in an agreement with Lewis, which I'm very grateful that he honored in a timely manner so that I could keep my bills running and everything would stay smooth. And I'm now semi-external to the organization, which means that I still have access to everything internal that I had access to before, including some admin permissions because they trust me not to abuse or misuse those. But as technical advisor, it is not my role to do the community moderation, to do the marketing engagement, to do the same things that I did before. As technical advisor, I am still the only representative for Octopus Network in the West, besides Aaron, who occasionally goes to Europe, though he does spend most of his time in Dubai, where he lives. So to that end, my point was, if I'm going to leave Octopus Network completely, I knew that it was going to be quite damaging, and I had hoped that there was a solution to make that make sense. Lewis, I think, came to the conclusion that it was more worthwhile to keep someone who understands the solution, who understands what we do, who's, yes, able to talk about Octopus in a promotional fashion, but also able to communicate with people about it from a technical perspective. Because realistically, media lead Vivi Lin has moved to New York. I'm very happy for her. Really excellent move. I'm sure that she's going to do just fine on the media side, but that means that there would be no one in the West on the technical side, which is amusing as hell now that I have moved out of the continental US. But
what exactly does that involve, being a technical advisor? Is this like a consultancy basis, or what? And what exactly do you advise on when you're advising?
So I do still do some sort of community stuff. Like when there were some challenging and odd questions to the Octopus Network Twitter account earlier, I literally educated our social media lead on what certain things are, like Merkle Mountain Range and stuff like that. So I am still acting as a very, very internal member, but I am external to all executive functions, and I don't supervise conversations anymore. There used to be multiple chats that I would see details about what we were doing that were not directly relevant to me, but their indirect relevance was really useful for operations. So being a person who is sort of at leadership level, operating at leadership level, I had a lot of stuff that needed to get done. I did not have a lot of executive power, and I thought that was perfectly fine given my, sort of commitment and agreements and disagreements with the project. So the technical advisor role means that I am not taking actions directly on Octopus's behalf, but I am basically fulfilling that need to have a, spokesperson in the Midwest who has technical understanding of what's going on. That's the most round way I could say it,
Right. Well, I did have a question for you, actually, Sheldon. You said something there that I was going to leave this question until later, right? Because we're not really doing an interview kind of thing. You've come on.
I do have a question though for Sheldon after you're done, Robo.
He's rugging a little bit again. Oi. Poor guy.
No,
So-
that's his body rugging him.
might-
That's not the...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's like, oh. Yeah. So listen, I had a question. So you know how they have SaaS, software as a service? This new thing has come out, roll-ups as a service.
Ugh, barf.
What do you think about that? Do you think
Barf.
it's going to be like the next, AWS, the way AWS is too? Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, you can pre-frame it in whatever way you want. I gave a very knee-jerk reaction on purpose. I already take a lot of issue with roll-ups in general.
Why?
It's a trust abstraction. I believe that this cryptographic process is good enough such that the issuer is, trustworthy, and that I can verify this information later. I mean, in my opinion, if you have things like a hybrid data availability roll-up product, like you're doing roll-ups, but also the information that's the result of the roll-ups has an economic incentive for existing network operators to keep it live at the same place where roll-ups are being done, that's not crazy. But also, it's not that easy to sustain. That's basically what Mina Protocol has been trying to work on and fail for a few while now. I mean, I'm a big fan. Anybody who's in Mina who's listening, big fan. But maintaining the sort of mega validators and the mini validators is hard when you're trying to actually get high volumes of users to do stuff. Even though the pace of Mina is why it's so great. If anybody doesn't know, Mina Protocol, very interesting stuff. It's just a 22 kilobyte hash that rotates every 6 seconds, I think it is. It's very interesting stuff. They're building some really weird things over there. But anyway, I'm on a sidetrack. Sorry, I'm fried too. Did I mention that I'm really sleep deprived? I got way too much done.
Yes, that's why. No, that's awesome. I like sleep deprived answers because they're kind of the more honest ones, because you're.
I know you watch
Hot
Ones.
You're like, fuck it, whatever, and then you just kind of say, because you're just at that point. So you don't think roll-ups as a service is even where it should be, or?
Well, hold on. This is really important.
If it is.
Do you watch Hot Ones?
No, I don't even know. When you said hot ones, I thought you meant hot takes and shit. I like hot takes, but not
okay.
Hot One is.
Anybody who's in earshot, listen, this will be really short. Hot Ones is a show on YouTube that has been successful for about 9 years. It is literally just celebrities eating really hot wings in a succession from the least hot to the most hot, 10 wings.
Oh yes, I have seen
people.
That.
People do not interview on that show the way they interview on other shows because they're capsaicin inebriated. So that's exactly what you're referring to. Now, coming back to your question about rollups as a service, rollups are already an abstraction.
Listen, capsaicin is also really great for pain relief. But anyways, go ahead.
And swelling and lots of things. But I tell you, there's so much spicy food here. It's not helping my headache right now because I had plenty today. So basically, rollups are already a way to condense information effectively. Zero knowledge is really the problem I'm picking on, is sort of like combined implementation of zero knowledge rollup-y things, because they're very similar. They have some slight differences. Abstractions of other data means that you are using a receipt service. Imagine buying something at the store, and the receipt that gets printed out for the sort of clerk to, like, push down on that little metal pike that they're supposed to save all the receipts on, that has one piece of information. But then the receipt that you're handed has another piece of information. So only inside the system that actually produced these two pieces of information is there a recording of what it is. Like, I know that I'm blending ZK and rollups here a little bit, but just hear me out. This is not necessarily a drag on zero knowledge. I'm frustrated because of the lack of understanding that is trusting a rollup provider or a zero knowledge service provider, because supposedly they publish their proofs after the fact and you just validate against them, and that's good. But you're also asking for fast finality in these kinds of things, and that's the reason why people are coming to them. So that means you're abstracting large amounts of data into small amounts of data at a relatively high speed, and you're sacrificing some trust in order to gain that performance. I don't like the sacrificing trust part. I feel like you can play Solana level trilemma adjustments all day long. You can wildly overpower some part of a system and then just give up on something like performance, and all of a sudden it'll be great. But the most secure, clumsy, slow blockchain is not helping anybody. It doesn't matter that it's the most secure. We need balance. So I think that this idea that rollups are balanced is greedy and ridiculous. At the same time, I understand why some people are looking at blockchains and saying, okay, these things don't scale well over, let's say, more than a few million people. Maybe we need to have some abstraction service so that we can actually have a 7 billion person society working with this stuff. Number one, I say there should not be one blockchain for any singular purpose. I think that's already kind of a misunderstanding of what this industry was supposed to do. Number two, if you are going to use trust abstractions to make a hybridization of the old way and the new way, that's not crazy. But if you do it such that you only inherit the problems of the old way, you have not actually evolved. You've just made a flashy bit of propaganda or sort of a song and dance distraction, effectively. Easiest example, Base. The idea that Coinbase would do their own optimistic roll-up product is that you're going to trust Coinbase to give you an Ethereum-like experience away from the big, scary world of Ethereum. I am frustrated by this because some entities, small, large, young, whatever, find value in what Coinbase is doing in this regard. And by the way, I really appreciate the heck out of Coinbase for going to task with the United States government. And I think that this is a moderately useful tool in doing that. I still absolutely abhor it. It's ridiculous. But people will come to it and not realize that all they're doing is trusting Coinbase. They're living in the Coinbase sandbox. And it means that they're going to not have access to the rest of the world unless they go through Coinbase. It's not that different from what's happening at Ethereum abstraction with the 4337 and a bunch of other things that people are doing. But 4337 is the easiest development of that conversation, the next step. If you look at that new EIP that was launched during Ethereum Denver, which I had not heard of and was kind of surprised that I hadn't heard of it beforehand, but I also hadn't been paying attention to ETH ecosystem for a little bit. I was busy. If you read that EIP, it explains right there in honest language that there are independent mempools that preclude the public mempool where transactions can be seen. That means that when you have subsets of the Ethereum validator set listening for transactions for a specific purpose or reason, whether they gave you a fraudulent account or they happen to be connected with your RPC provider or whatever the heck Frankenstein it is, for whatever reason, that series of entities can have a very, very easy to pass around blacklist that has your address on it that says that if you make it to the mempool, if you submit a transaction through the RPC interface, through the network, and then make it to the mempool where validators are recognizing you, they won't process your transaction. I genuinely believe that's the future of Ethereum.
Okay, so but why wouldn't they process your transaction? Because what, it's not allowed from where you're coming from? I mean, what if I'm
Osama bin Laden?
Oh, so if
you see what I'm saying?
I mean, that guy's
you
dead,
can play that
yes.
however you want. I'm not a terrorist. I'm not Osama bin Laden. I'm not Christ either. But like, You see what I'm saying? It's not just
Yeah,
a
yeah.
liability thing. It's a control thing. It's a granularity thing. The same way that banking services work, the same way that Chainalysis has been trying to make an entire business model out of it for
So
the public
Sheldon,
version of Ethereum. It's so much easier when it's private. Nobody knows.
so
Yeah.
do you think Coinbase is going to be Coinbase essentially is the government? Like,
I mean, at this rate, I hope they become it. I still don't like this. I still have my reasons why Coinbase annoys the heck out of me, and I still use it. I decry it regularly. It is the biggest crypto type institution in the United States. There are some, that retail interfaces with, excuse me, like, and maybe for cloud also, maybe for enterprise also, because they do actually have OCT listed for custody outside of the United States, Octopus Network Token. So they do a lot like that. That's a big deal. Octopus Network is not the project that everybody knows. For them to have listed it was really cool. We're happy for that. But like the idea of Coinbase becoming the government is nutty. But at the same time, if the government just became a series of trust abstractions and blockchains where you vote, you can't see my hands, but I'm doing air quotes right now. Blockchains where you vote. That's exactly what I would expect the future to be. That's exactly the dystopia that I think that America has earned by not giving a shit about privacy, by not standing up for rights, by not paying attention to the detail when things are important, by not hesitating on globalism and hyperconvergence and black boxes. Like in equitable societies, the things that America has used for accelerationism are perfectly fine. In Indonesia here, I'm amazed at how many people just recognize that I'm bringing money into the country. I'm polite. I'm just trying to get by. I speak the language whenever they need me to. I pull out the little translator and rehearse it to myself for a second and then say what I need to say to them. Like, it is very different in a society that has some cultural alliance to the degree that they can stand up for their rights and best interests effectively. This is not the United States that we're talking about here. Like what happened recently legally in Indonesia. Funny enough, almost right after I got here, they put up a law banning certain Russians and saying that foreigners shouldn't be allowed to rent a scooter and some stuff like that. And I thought that was really interesting. And I went on Instagram and said, yeah, I wouldn't trust me to ride a scooter here either. I've never driven on the left side of the road. I've never ridden a scooter before. Why would you rent me a scooter for $20? Well, here I am riding a scooter because there's not much else way to get around, but I'm doing the best I can to be careful. It literally became a problem to the general public. So the general public bubbled up to governance, and governance did something. Not special interest, not some crazy super thing. I'm sure there's special interest. I'm sure there's corruption in Indonesia. But when you had like an obvious greater good moment, like for safety on the road, people genuinely considered it, especially for the island of Bali, because some of this we're talking about is under the governor of Bali, not under Indonesia in specific. Because Bali is a little bit more of a party place than Jakarta, right? There's beaches and tourism and lots of Australians here. So, yeah, it's just, I think that America didn't care about this stuff coming and therefore has allowed it to just fall right into our laps where there's not really a chance to interrupt it short of major unrest, which is not happening. And by the way, if anybody called that Tennessee protest unrest, you should tell them that they need to read more. Because if you read the details on that thing that David Hogg posted, which David Hogg is just a kid who needs to be in the media, and like I'm sure he had some good ideas and he seemed like a decent kid when I first saw him, but like he's just trying to drag in the messaging that he needs to drag in. If you saw that video of a bunch of people like going back and forth with some sheriffs in a doorway, shouting and kind of pulling around, and somebody with a really bouncy curly afro putting their hands up trying to be a compliant-ish, trying to be like, it's cool, man. Like many people reposted that, like, is this insurrection? This is the new January 6th or whatever. Like January 6th is already CIA crafted bullshit. That's fact. So I'm frustrated that it's not just that Americans got lazy and kind of jumped into all of this stuff and somehow they were misled and made a mistake. It's that they proactively said, I want convenience. I want my Amazon. I want my McDonald's delivered to me. I don't care if the delivery driver is hungry and not able to sleep in the house. I just want mine, and I want it now, and I want it sexy. That's what Americans have been doing for the past like 15 years, if you ask me. This is what they're cultivating, is a society that doesn't mind when they're being given the next generations of technology and told that it's going to be the best thing ever for them, and it is effectively their prison. I say this as someone who I'm sure is never going to get heard by my dad, but I feel like I lost my dad to MSNBC. So, like, context, right?
Many of us did. I think many of us maybe lost a parent or two to MSM, dude. Unfortunately, they just weren't wise enough to see it, what we saw. Never mind.
I mean, our morals didn't move, but anyway, what were you going to say, Bbandz?
So I went and I read the EIP 4337. I mean, I had heard about it, but I didn't actually go and read it or look at it. But it's very interesting. I read the summarizer, and it has like an account abstraction. It's users can easily turn their non-custodial wallets into a full stack decentralized banks and protect new users from losing access due to seed phrase issues. But I like the way they're packaging it, but what an interesting.
It's very smart, but like unpack that, right? What is a decentralized bank? I thought that's what the blockchain was to us. Well, it's a subset of the Ethereum validator set that can be the police, that can control how those transactions work, that can block somebody from making an account from a certain IP address, that can, poison an account as soon as it's made. So it makes a lot of sense.
It's abstracting the information, but you can't modify it, but it's still getting the information. That's so interesting.
It's like using a mini subset of Ethereum validators as a proxy to the rest of the set, where the proxy has the ability to see and affect those transactions. I understand how it's going to be great for compliance. I've been a compliance officer. I see how this works very, very cleanly. Having a United States implementation of Ethereum that is the safe and approved, and then, okay, are you sure you want to go beyond the legal boundary? The FBI might be notified. Click. I can appreciate how well that works for a lot of different people, but it don't work for me. So, yep, got to average out the people who are too dumb to advocate for their own best interests. No disrespect to you, stupid people. I'm just trying to help you out. So, yeah, I'm trying to counterbalance the average of not giving a shit and stupid on data privacy, whether it's at the mempool level or at the DNS level or anything. Yeah. I'm fed up. I am exhausted. But yeah, I'm not trying to ramble too much. Y'all know I can ramble, so don't.
I love
give
it
me too much.
Oh, give over, man. Give over, Sheldon. I'm hanging out me fucking arsehole. You've got no idea, dude. I'm just clinging to any
get
form
some fluids, guy. Oh, get some fluids.
Bro, I've just been drinking strawberry milk. I'm drinking grape juice right now.
Sprite, bro, you've been on this space talking about how Sprite is scientifically proven as the best hangover cure.
A 2-liter bottle. I had a 2-liter bottle of Sprite at lunchtime, and it did nothing. Didn't even touch the sides.
You need electrolyte. You need minerals and stuff.
Yeah, there's corn syrup and shit in Sprite. Like, what the? Come on.
No, hey, I'll take the corn syrup. I'll take the coloring and all the bad stuff, but also give the man some minerals so he can replace the ones he lost when he was drinking.
You think I don't know how to take care of myself? I'm just too old for it, and I went on the piss 3 o'clock, and then wow.
What you're talking about, Robo, we know you can't take care of yourself, man. We've been in this space for the past year with you. We've seen your toe almost fall off. We fucking saw you fall down the stairs, man. We've been looking for you for 2 weeks because you just disappeared. What the fuck are you talking about, man?
You could have died from the dengue, so come on, man.
Oh, I feel like fucking worse than that today, I tell you. Oh, it's killed me. When I had to stop puking, I wanted to puke, but I wanted to stop myself, right? I did stop myself, but when you have to go through that, and it's nearly going to come out your nose, it's that close, and I was on a call and all today. Anyway, what I've always wanted to ask your man, and I've never had the opportunity. I've always wanted to ask him, right, if he ever sees any of himself in the TV character Sheldon. Either the older one, or the younger one. No, I've always wanted to ask you this question, bro. You see any similarities between you and him?
Honestly, because I became familiar with the character through this kind of engagement about it, yeah, there's a couple moments here and there, both the older and the younger, where I'm like, yeah, I could see me doing that, fuck. But also, it's me doing that and being way less dorky about it. I did not ever wear a fucking bow tie. Well, no, actually, damn it. There's pictures of me wearing a bow tie on the internet. Shit. No, I don't like wearing bow ties. It was something that was put on me, okay? But like, I was not that dorky. I was that smart. I was trying to make
bro,
money
but
full
every
time at age
dog in
6.
the
Like,
entire
it's
world
different.
have stated that I was not that doggy, like every dog in the world. But sorry for cutting you off.
No, just call me a raccoon. You don't have to call me a dog. Just call me a raccoon. I identify as a raccoon on occasion. I appreciate the trash panda vibes. I'm not here to feel kingly. I do not sit and look kingly. Sometimes I can speak and write kingly and present kingly, but genuinely, I am very proud to be a raccoon because I feel bad kid. Like I don't pick up on any PFP project. I'm not just doing it because y'all are fun and blah blah blah. Like these happen to actually work with me. If you've lived with me, if you spent like a period of time with me, there are some people in crypto who've like lived in my apartment for a week and stuff. Like I am not a kingly individual. I'm just an ant in the ant farm who wants to see the ant farm get better. I'm tired of the ant farm being stupid and nonsensical and run by non-biological, synthetic, robot idiot ants, hyper powered at the top of the chain for no reason, keeping the queen captive kind of thing. Like that, if that's a metaphor.
Wow, that's intense. Listen, real quick, Robo, real quick. Wait a minute. Okay, check it out. I got a question from Wrecked Cities. Secret Lovers said, what do you think of secret in regard to privacy?
Oh, fuck, here we go.
Oh, should
Okay.
Did I make a boo-boo?
No, it's
No.
fucking always got to make he's always got to make it about him, man, isn't he? He's always got to make it about secret, every fucking show
That's
when he comes
fine.
on. The secret.
Listen,
It's
it's okay,
fine.
Amir. I like the question. I'm curious.
So we got a domain here. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to sgx.fail. Okay, did I just rug? I went back and forth out of my app. Am I here?
Oh, we got you.
No, you're here.
Okay.
SGX dot what?
sgx.fail. This is not an open book test. This is a really weird spaces with Robo and I both like physically in the shitter, but also happy to be on. sgx.fail. I just put it in the comments under. You can pin it if you want. I don't know what the culture is of comments versus pinning very well, except trying to show people stuff. But this is the way that I would describe Secret Network. Secret Network is good enough privacy for the majority of people out there that is obscured away enough from a significant volume of highly malicious information extraction and imprisonment over time. What do I mean by that? Monero is cool. Monero is useful. Monero is increasing the keys on the keyring. Yeah, sure. But more importantly, the NSA and other three-letter agencies participate in Monero, and CipherTrace has a patent, which they have used, I think, 3 times that they published, that if you have the device that you made a transaction with captured, even if you wipe it, they can do what's called a RAM dump. You can look up a software called Volatility for that. They can do a RAM dump and see the history of stuff that had happened on that device and prove that you are the person who made that transaction on the Monero network. So that means if you compromise your physical security, your privacy is already compromised. Why did it come down to that? Why did that company get motivated to do that? Is it because Monero is so great in privacy, blah, blah, blah? No, it's because Monero became more popular than Bitcoin for ransomware attacks. When people were going to hack a corporate network and demand volumes of money, while Bitcoin has higher liquidity, Monero is much, much better obfuscation. There are, public blacklists of Bitcoin addresses, of Bitcoin that's associated with hacks and stuff like that, right? So it is not the same thing to say that, Monero is bad, because it's not. Monero was peak privacy for some time. It's not anymore, in my opinion. And also, it's a supervised environment. People still feel like they're getting their privacy there. A lot of the lead devs have left. Some people have come back after a while because they're feeling hopeful to the project. But bottom line, Monero is a much more different environment to think about privacy in, because there's more time and there's more complexity involved. If you're looking at SGX, mostly what you're considering from a risk perspective and, what could go wrong, why do I want to trust this, how secure is this, etc. I'm looking at sgx.fail as the easiest layman way that I can explain that there is an inherent problem with trusted execution hardware, i.e. SGX on Intel and RSTA? I'm forgetting what the acronym is on the AMD side. Don't quote me on that. If you look up trusted execution AMD processor, I'm sure you'll find it. But the bottom line is both of those hardware have problems. because trusted execution is based on hardware implementations that are still really, really young. And that is what secret network is based on, is the ability to secure a workload on a computer from the local person who is running that computer. So the idea that you would be able to make networks so secret that the operator couldn't be poisoned or couldn't be sort of turned into a cheat, it's a wonderful, wonderful concept. I love it very much. I like those guys. I've seen them at multiple shows. I'm super happy to interface with those guys. I really thought what they were doing with stable coins was going to be bigger, because I thought they had more of their ducks in a row on that. They told me some cool stuff. I think some things might have fell through, but like, bottom line, because Secret Network is run on this system of SGX problems, it is not hyper secure to its operators. It is in general relatively secure, and it is, I would say, generally not as secure as Monero, but it's also much less crowded and there's much less volume, which means there's lower motivation for, analytics players, NSA, other entities to spend a lot of time there. Do I know if they do or don't? No, I don't really know. And at this point, they wouldn't need to ever be detected for that sort of thing. They just privately buy service from some third party that's consuming the chain data. But the net sort of like thought that I have about Secret is that if you are a regular person and you are moving less than $10,000 of money around to do stuff, and you are very privacy first, I think Secret is a great choice. Now, personally, what I would actually put for my top privacy protocol is Mimblewimble on Litecoin. So that's my preference personally. I think that is peak at the moment, and actually will be for a while, even though people don't understand it yet. And it has its flaws, of course. I'm not trying to be an ultra fanboy, but I think that is a significantly better way of going about things, where Monero is going to still be this cat and mouse game of, is it worth it? Do you know your adversary? Are you hiding from the government or your mother? Like it's different types of privacy platforms. Effectively, they have different pros and cons. But if you're just trying to look for, one of the most user-friendly privacy coins, Secret is a great choice. I mean, I have my RAC. It's my own. I think it might be my only Secret NFT. Well, no, I think I bought another one for kicks. Had some extra points and spent them, I think, stash. But yeah, I think that Secret is a excellent platform, and the way that they have taken permissioning to their advantage, but also not overdoing it, is very wise. Like, a lot of the different choices that are more granular were smartly made over there, and that being more useful to the average person, combined with, a reasonable level of security, not attracting attention with a super high volume of money, it's great to that degree. I think that stablecoins showing up on the platform will change things. Let me get to the point of actually like actionable or useful information here, instead of just waffling around, because I know I can waffle. So what I mean to say is that we can see the validator set to some degree. We don't have really a lot of information about it, but the changes in the validator set should be concerning. The more it changes, the more I'm concerned. If it stays put for a week, I feel very comfortable there. If it's changing the day before, I'm like, okay, let's see. Does that make sense?
I got a thank you from a Secret. So Secret Lovers is satisfied with your
I'm glad.
response.
I do like Secret.
So listen, I want to go and ask first, make sure Robo doesn't, Bruce or Robo doesn't have any questions. But I was thinking, since we still have, we're still in the 2-hour block, maybe we should see that if anybody else would like to come up before I get in trouble with Robo. Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna get in trouble with Robo. He has his hand up. Go ahead, Robo.
We haven't even done like the weekly questions, like the normal stuff that we do with like every guest that comes on. Like, I cannot believe you're letting it down. We haven't done the announcements, right? So some announcements. I guys have just DM'd Sisler and asked them to take the snapshot.
Ooh.
So if anyone hasn't registered, then you're in trouble. Right? That's all I'm saying. You've got to go over to the OmniFlix now. Bruce, can you put it up in the nest, can you?
Yeah, let me find it.
Right, Sheldon, before Bbandz, because she's going to go on a one-year woman shortly, watch. Now she's got you up here, mate. She's going to proper drill you. What's your favourite sandwich, Sheldon? What's your favourite sandwich in the world?
Are we asking young Sheldon, or are we asking current Sheldon?
Oh, current Sheldon all day long, of course.
Yeah, we never met young Sheldon. Like, we don't know that guy.
He wasn't as cool by a long shot, I assure you.
You might have hit your head and changed, But go ahead.
I'm sure. No, that happened a lot. What were you gonna say, Bruce?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. My bad. I thought I cut you off for a second there. Realistically, the way that a Italian would do it, like prosciutto and fat wet buffalo mozzarella sandwich. That's my king's lunch because I told you I'm not a king or whatever, but that feeling of regality to me in a sandwich exists between arugula, maybe spinach, nothing that isn't bitter enough, wimpy iceberg lettuce, none of that, and prosciutto and really, really dense, still wet mozzarella. Now, there's a whole thing to get into about heating that up or not heating that up. Cold is perfectly fine. Whenever I try to get that sandwich in the U.S., the bread kills me because all the bread in the U.S. is poison. But whenever I get that sandwich in Europe or outside of the United States, it makes me a happy guy. So yeah.
Well, I can hear it in your voice. I can tell sandwiches make you happy. Just the wee passionate way you were talking about it and everything. I'm like, this dude loves a good sandwich.
Well, I mean, I asked you about my childhood, right? Because I had PB&J and just flat cream cheese sandwiches for elementary school and middle school for many years.
Fuck, that was rough. Fuck, that was rough.
It's cheap lunch. Hey, who cares?
At least you had a lunch, man.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of kids weren't poor enough to get the free lunch.
Sorry, I didn't hear that, but I was just trying to say something, Sheldon, and I'm going to finish it now. My mom told me when I was like 11 or 12 that I was old enough to make my own lunch, and she used time to teach me, like, do this, do that, and everything, and I just went like, fuck that, man. I rather want to learn how to be hungry. So yeah, I'm really good with hunger now.
That's me in breakfast, and that was me in college, and it's kind of how my brain is broken because I'll sit and work and run around and ride bike for 20 hours doing work and then realize, oh fuck, I feel terrible because I haven't eaten anything. So
that's not good.
Yeah.
No, I can't. I gotta eat. I get crazy. I get angry. I get all kinds of I feel like my blood sugar's off or something. Like I feel like I'm dying if I don't eat.
That's the one, blood sugar. I've learned to carry around tamarind candies. That's my move now.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Well, Sheldon, I'm going to show my cultured side right now, dude. I would say, for me, probably the banh mi would take the number one spot, closely followed by the Reuben in second place, I would think. And I'm partial to a lobster roll as well, from time to time.
I feel like lobster rolls that are good are hard to get, but that's a good pickings.
Bro, go to fucking Vietnam and get those banh mi's, the real ones on the street with the patty and that. Oh my goodness me, they're gonna blow your fucking mind. The bread,
they melt your face, right? Though the peppers.
Laos and Vietnam, they've got, because of the French, French history, they've got some of the best bread I've had in the fucking world. Those short French loaf ones. They're just soft, crispy on the outside, oh, bro, take me to Vietnam right now, will you? I'm starving. Right, last one from me, Sheldon, before I hand you over to Bbandz. I'm sure she's got something before she brings guests in. They're kind of not yes or no questions, right? One or the other answers, one or the other. So, cardigan or cowboy boots? You got to pick one. What you going with?
I have to pick one. Technically, I own both.
Wow.
Sheldon know how to dress. I could see it. I could see the outfit right now.
It's not really a cardigan though. It's like that. It's like that fancy thin sweater that you put on top of a suit, but under a suit jacket. You know what I'm talking about?
It's a pullover.
No, that's a cardigan. No. I hear what you're saying.
I don't know. Maybe
that's
I'm
nice.
wrong. I definitely have cowboy
sweater.
Boots, but they're I have black, dapper ass boots. They're not ranch hand boots. I'm not some guy who plays in the dirt in fancy leather.
No, we're talking about cowboy boots, aren't we? I mean cowboy boots?
Yeah, my dad loves them. I had a pair, but nope, I'm not fond of it. It hurts my ankles.
So when you said you're not the type of dude that play in the dirt with fancy leather, is that a really, really, really smart way to say you're not into swinging?
No comment.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, no euphemisms. No euphemisms on this show, is there? Fucking hell, eh?
No pineapples, please. No pineapples.
See, like, so you're the kind of guy who likes his floor shine zipper boots, right?
I mean, my first pair of boots were made by a brand called Demonic, and I convinced my sort of like estranged aunt to get them for me, even though they were like a size and a half too big. And I loved them for years. And by the time I grew into them, they were only half a size too big. And I used them until I couldn't anymore. I grew into those from 14 to 23 when I became a cable guy and wore them through. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Demonic. So your boots were from a Demonic. Did they have like goth vibes, or like, did you have like a kitten heel? Like, oh,
no,
my
goth vibes. Like I definitely did like the Neo stuff at school. I have a black pleather trench coat in my closet still, actually my storage unit. But yeah, I did the Matrix thing for a little bit there. But I didn't wear it all the time. It was just special occasions.
Oh, I had the Van Helsing edition of that coat, man, and I wore it all the time. And it was so fucking long that every time I walk up any stairs, I would fucking trip in it every fucking time.
Oh yeah, you
and I
gotta
had
learn
long hair all the way down to the shoulders. What's that, Bbandz?
I said it's what people do for fashion. Like, you know, you're like, I'm willing to trip over my jacket to look good. You know, fuck it.
Yeah, exactly.
And sweat balls too, right?
Sweat
like
balls,
just really sweaty, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I wouldn't wash it. Like I was a goth teen. Like the smell is a part of the whole fashion statement, right?
I mean, realistically, if it gets grayer, it's not as good. So like, it's not even a stink thing. I'll let it air out, but you know, but if it gets any less dark, then what am I? Like, you know what I mean? Like. That was where I came from. That's how I learned to wash my darks with a little splash of balsamic vinegar. That's my thing. Eventually, they purple a little bit instead of going grayish like they would from bleachy, cleaner.
Oh, nothing could be as bad as this kid I was working with, man, in Australia. Right, you should have seen what happened to his shoes, and he just didn't change them. He kept saying, "Oh, I'm only here for a little bit more, and I can't afford any, and this and that." Right. Fuck me, if you'd seen these shoes, and we were working in like mud and that, right? And like his socks, he just got encased. Bro, I didn't even know how he still had feet at the end of this journey. Like, literally, I'm going to find a photo I've got of it, and you just wouldn't fucking believe it, dude. It's ridiculous. Like,
you're talking about the thing where the toes separate from the, like the top, the upper separates from the lower at the toe, and then eventually it's just flapping, right?
Stop it.
It's so hard to walk in those shoes, man. I've had one of those. It's so hard.
That's what the boots were when I let them go. Sorry, the latency difference is odd. I'm still getting used to it, especially from the EU side. I kind of had my rhythm for it in the States before.
It's don't worry, man. I'm just a troublemaker, bro. I'm just here to disrupt.
So I have a question. Bruce, do you want to ask anything else before maybe we go and see if anybody else wants to chat with Sheldon, join the conversation? Since
I just want to make a statement, to be honest. All your plebs and your sandwiches, man, you never tried a real sandwich before. You have a Danish open-faced sandwich. You don't know what you're talking about. All your white bread, man. You need rye bread, real fucking rye bread made by the Vikings. And you need a virgin to make that sandwich for you that has taken a 2 years education to make it. Like, you know nothing about sandwiches. I get so infuriated every fucking time, man, you talk about it. Oh, that was just it. Thank you, Bbandz.
Oh, all right. It looks like we've made Bruce a little angry, but he'll be all right. And Zoe, since you have the mic first, would you like to ask Sheldon or come in a conversation and chat about anything?
Honestly, I completely forgot what I was going to talk about. Maybe come back to me in a little bit.
Okay.
So it wasn't Neutron.
I only talk about Neutron when you ask me to. I'm not here to show.
Okay, I didn't ask. Sorry.
We can talk about it. I'm just embarrassingly not current enough. I'm going to start looking it up for a second because I'm embarrassed. I've just been saturated with stuff. I haven't been keeping up as well this week. Go ahead.
It's okay, Sheldon. Don't worry about it.
Well, I mean, would anybody like to come and chat with us? We're just hanging out. Last half hour with Sheldon. Coinlanding.page. Oh, hello. Add as a speaker. And, don't worry about raising hands and stuff like that.
Also, Coinlanding.page, it wasn't an invitation to chill, just FYI.
Oh, I thought because Soy said he wasn't here to chill, he was leaving that open to someone else.
Yeah, I fucking knew it, man.
Well, you knew Coinlanding.page wouldn't miss an opportunity,
Not
right?
today.
Nah, I just wanted to make that joke. I'm in the fitness, so I'll go back to do my sports.
Oh, wait, are you on the elliptical? Are you on a treadmill? Are you doing weights? Where are you at?
I'm trying to row, but it's a little bit difficult when you're trying to hold the phone in the other hand. So
you're trying to roll right now, Coinlanding.
He's going in a circle.
Ridiculous.
just imagine, like, all that fucking energy. He came up here. He's rowing right now just to make a joke. Phone in one hand, sitting in the fitness.
He's awesome. It's dedication.
Shall we make him laugh? Can you see what I put in the nest?
No, but I saw the shoes. Jeez.
Look at the socks. He kept them socks like that for about, honest to God, about 6 or 7 weeks. Oh my God. Imagine the smell.
Yours looks like
Imagine the
cow
smells,
tongues.
right?
They look like cow tongues. Oh my goodness. I'm that sick that I'm trying not to laugh, I'm lying here on the living room floor, and honest, I feel like it could swallow me up right now. Jesus. Kids don't drink. It's bad for you. Put it that way. Oh.
Did you ever end up calling that Chinese girl? I kind of hope you didn't, because you were really drunk. So did you end up calling her, sending her a message or anything?
No, but I kind of said I would. Oh. You had to remind me, didn't you?
You know what? Listen, maybe that'll make you feel better. Send a message. And then she doesn't respond for 12 hours.
I don't know what language or slang you're using, the US or whatever, Bruce, or what you're doing Denmark. But if I was back at home in England and I was describing exactly how I was feeling, like my friend or something, I would be like, I'm hanging out of my fucking arse.
We would, yeah, it's very close in Denmark. We would say, I'm like an ass that's tired of shitting.
That's quite a good one, that one. I like that one.
And I thought I was full of shit.
So I have a question for you, Sheldon. It's a deep one. So, how do you feel like, how do I say this in English? So your personal convictions and beliefs, right? Your own belief system and values. How do you think those are reflected in the society you now live in? Can you recognize your own values in the society you have moved to in Bali?
In the road anarchy stuff, yes, because in Miami, I frequently drive over the speed limit, and I do that while watching out for everybody around me and carefully planning and predicting where I'm going to go and keeping in mind of rain and, license plates that aren't Floridian and all kind of stuff. So in the vein of traffic, it's weird how much I feel at home, because it is quite intense, but also I feel moderately prepared for some of this stuff, the checking your mirrors and being peripherally aware in multiple directions, actually simultaneously, not just glancing around. It's a skill, you develop it from a high pressure environment of, idiots in expensive cars flying by you, drinking and doing coke. So I think that the driving environment is honestly making me feel more at home. It is scary. I'm being dumb and hurting myself because I'm getting used to the left side of the road, more than anything. That's the weird part. But my values, I think, are being observed in the way that people genuinely look out for each other, in that the chaos of the road is everybody doing the best they can and just trying to follow the sort of cultural norms in order to communicate effectively with other people just through body language and road positioning. So that's, I think, actually wonderful. And it reminds me of the kind of things I used to shout out the window in Miami to get people to just do the simplest thing. One car in the way, making a dumb merge at a 90-degree angle blocks, 50 people very quickly on I-95. So To not ham it up any further, traffic is one. Um, there's something that was like not close to my moral compass, but did make me feel at home, which is realizing how screwed up the infrastructure is here. It's not just the the way that sort of cables and poles are not hyper regulated. It's that the actual implementations of the internet here are not great, and people are just gradually getting the kind of Wi-Fi technology that I was implementing in the late 2000s. So there is still like the newer stuff available, but the newer stuff that I'm getting that's available sucks. It's all these ASUS routers that have terrible, terrible firmware and like are not meeting their basic specs and features because the firmware is just not right. And the DDWRT guys don't even like this series of units, so they're not dealing with it. I had to default one of them, and I went online to look at the instructions. I used the new method to default it. Didn't work, wouldn't go into recovery mode. And then I was like, okay, you know what? This is dumb. Let me just see if this is acting like the old one. And then it did. I used the regular old school reset mode and it worked just fine. So reset procedure or SOP or whatever you want to call it. So from a network engineering perspective, the bubblegum and shoestring feeling of infrastructure around me is it's comforting in a weird way because it means that I know I can be useful here. I know that there's work worth doing. I know that we're going to launch a conversation with BizNet at some point in the next little while to get them to make significant changes in their network. They had to plant fires. By the way, if you don't know what that means, it's like saying facility plant, but it means that they had like a critical facility of some sorts, a place where networks were meeting, and they didn't have good grounding there. So I think that's my sort of number one complaint in one way, that the what's it called? That the electrical infrastructure needs some love also. I'm prepared to work on that locally for me. I'm not prepared to implement a culture of different grounding, but the EU way of grounding is quite clever and it works great, but you have to actually implement it, and only some people do here, and that includes an internet service provider. So that's comforting, but it's not in line with my morals, so it doesn't answer your question. To I guess tie off this one about morality here.
You're killing us here, Sheldon. You're killing
oh, hey,
us
well,
here.
I'm trying to soak up the whole 2 hours, bro. I thought I had time, so I was just trying.
No, Coinlanding's been dying here with his hand up. I feel like
shit.
And then
I'm so sorry. You were just out of view. No, my bad.
Bbandz, I really enjoyed that answer. But yeah, just go ahead.
Oh, no problem, no problem. I was wondering, Sheldon, what would you advise for someone looking into getting a Wi-Fi 6E router? Like a nice and secure one, but a good one.
I mean, first of all, check WPA3 support. If you're really nerdy, check the actual components inside the router, because if you don't have dual core in a router these days, then you're going to fall down eventually. You'll have problems eventually. You're not going to get the same throughput other people are. Finding out how many cores are in your router is not the easiest thing to find out. It does take some component research, but the average consumer grade router is either single core or virtual dual core these days. Look into that, because physical dual core is much more worthwhile in my opinion. But realistically, WPA3 is the first thing that's like consumer grade trackable. Hey, does this actually have the new key exchange mechanism that's supposed to be better, even though it's not at all perfect and has lots of problems? Because that's where you can expect them to make updates in the future. And that's supposed to be the new hotness, because better key exchange, etc., even though it has its flaws. I think the MIMO part of it is still really critical. People sleep on that. If you're buying a Wi-Fi 6E router because it's matching the specs that you got hyped on, then you might need to check a little bit of what the sort of like most expensive option is and what the shittiest option is. Try to get a feel for where you land in the middle. So if you don't have something like minimum 2x2 and 10A, I prefer 4x4, though that is like more than double what most people pay for internet devices. That means that you're coming off of one or two antennas with only one or two logical sort of amps or RF emitters or uses of that antenna, right? So that sucks if you're like literally looking at bunny ears and then literally connecting to the internet over bunny ears. That actually sucks in modern technology with multicasting and dual channel stuff and all kind of different things. Whatever. So the bottom line is that I think that because it's a good protocol and a new one, that people are going to fall into the trap of misunderstandings, and the pawns will go first. The people who get excited about these products, the Linus Tech Tips diehard viewers and so on, I think they will be good pawns. and they will go first. And everyone else is going to keep shopping more specific to performance in their use cases, because Wi-Fi 6E is cool, but I could give a shit about 6 gigahertz because I don't have one giant open floor warehouse where 6 gigahertz is super useful to me. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
It makes a lot of sense. And I was actually looking at all those things. So thanks for confirming.
And we have a new guest,
good one.
ChessOnchain. He just
Yo.
hopped in, and we have Homestead too. So who was first? I don't remember. I think it was Homestead. Homestead, you guys.
Give me a hand up. Give me a hand up if you think you were first. Either of you. I don't know. I was clearly looking at the top of the screen.
There we go. ChessOnchain. Go ahead.
All right,
Hey
brother.
guys, how are you all doing?
Hey.
I just
Teke, do you want an intro? Just like respect, brother. Can I give you an intro? Is that okay? Because like we know each other,
yeah,
disclaimer,
thank
right?
you.
Like it's very obvious to me. I think it's obvious to Teke and stuff, but just to keep it casual, Teke and I have known each other for about 4 years now, 4 years and change, I think. So it's my joy to work on this concept with him, even though realistically I'm not doing much work. I'm just trying to be helpful with some design stuff. He really is doing the heavy lifting. We were looking at, what is something worth doing that has a good balance of, computational value, sort of like agility, in general, a use case that can be met and, sort of understood as also a new implementation of a new technology, something cool. Well, multi-chain chess where you use your identity to play chess is pretty awesome. So I'm just not going to shill too much for you besides that. But just to say it in that way, Teke and I know each other, and I do have an intimate familiarity with ChessOnchain because transparently, I'm a fan. I used to be a ranked chess player when I was a kid. I don't like the idea of going to chess.com or light chess because as a privacy advocate, it really sucks to just give away my data to their AI or their records, or to just let people know that I'm playing chess on chess.com and that's what I am doing, which is one of the most 10,000 popular websites in the world. I'm just not into Web 2 models for things that actually scale really well for gaming. And I really want to do things like play Bughouse and crazy things on chain. And it's just Teke and I had been speaking before that. We had talked about things before that. I'm very proud of him for getting a grant from the Stacks ecosystem to run a blockchain hub in his town in Bielsa, which is not the most popular place for tech, honestly. Like, I'm really proud of him for doing that. That is just one step in the stepping stone of me introducing him in reverse, because I'm sorry, I'm so fried today, bro. Let me actually give you a reasonable introduction, and then we'll keep moving. Teke has been not just learning Rust, but teaching Rust to many other people for quite a while, because when him and I met, we were still kind of looking at what's worth doing and what's interesting and what's out there. And Rust is one of those things where it was just inescapable. And I'm really proud of him because he took his knowledge further than me. Realistically, he could teach me some things about Rust. But at the same time, he took that forward into let's do something cool and got a team behind him. And all the while, him and I have been talking about these different things, about how the hub would work on his end and how we can get support and do different things. I'm very happy to be helping with some different stuff so we can get them their angels that are sort of like waiting. But the bottom line is multi-chain chess is not about being in one ecosystem. It's about Rust. So that's how I wanted to introduce you, bro, because you're a Rust gangster, my guy. You are awesome with Rust. So thank you so much for coming up. Please, any question, I'm very happy to answer for you.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. That's a lot. Thank you very much. Yes, chess is very, very interesting, and the idea for a multi-chain is really, really nice. You talked about chess.com, and I think we should have choices, and that's one of the importance of building this. So I don't really want to chill too much about ChessOnchain, but as Sheldon has said, I'm from Nigeria, Bielsa, and we anchor a blockchain hub in our city, which is Rust, and not just Rust, which is Clarity and other smart contracts languages. And yeah, we have quite a lot going. My question is, I was going to share what I have in mind, and then ask the audience for some feedback about app chains. I'm asking for the best fit, like the best host to anchor an app chain. in this current market. I am aware of Cosmos and the likes of Polkadot, Kusama, Octopus Network also, and I think there's a couple others, but those are.
Do you know if you're Rust, yeah? If you're writing in Rust, you want to be on Juno, right?
CosmWasm is realistically one of these decisions. We were trying to save CosmWasm for a little bit later so it could mature more, because CosmWasm would be the youngest Rust component integrated for a chain. But it's been discussed. I don't mean to put words in your mouth, Tech. It's just it's not yet, right? Cosmos has a lot to do.
Yeah. Most of the time, I don't just like to decide on my own. I like to ask for input from others and get feedback on what would be nice. So this is more like a discussion to the house. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about an option like this and what will be fit for it, especially you, Sheldon.
I mean, I think this is a really healthy conversation to have as a group, because on the one hand, Cosmos is like sort of blatantly labeled the app chain system. At the same time, interchain security is going to smear that a little bit. Consumer chains aren't necessarily, but let's play a theoretical game. God forbid Cosmos is gone. Cosmos somehow evaporated for whatever reason. Let's say, critical tendermint bug found, all exploited in the wild all at once because of some crazy ChatGPT kids. Something crazy happens, and all of a sudden, all of the app chains in Cosmos aren't as content connecting to each other in the way that they were before. Sure, they'll seek new homes with Celestia. Sure, there'll be conversations about other private bridges and all different things. But what other app chain ecosystems are there in general? I appreciate you naming them off. At least that makes it easy for me. Octopus Network is definitely one of them. They are adopting their offering to accept Cosmos SDK. Launches supposedly Q3 is when that's going to launch. You can read about that on Medium. I'm happy to discuss that as well. Not the point of me being here, but still happy to discuss it. Realistically, their main offering was Substrate. So looking at them as a Substrate host, there's some very specific centralization risks and concerns about them being the administrator of the smart contracts that connect with those app chains, right? That applies to both the Substrate chains and the Cosmos chains. But if we're doing a comparison, I should be verbose. Why am I trying to summarize this? To be verbose on this spaces where technically we have 15 minutes left, but I think we're going to run late. Or is it against the rules to run late? I don't
No,
remember
it's not against the rules.
No,
Okay.
I think this has become the Sheldon show, so let's just go.
Oh shit. Okay.
I love you, man. Don't worry.
So realistically, in every trilemma in blockchain, there are people trying to tip the scale in one direction a little bit hard and make it make sense. Solana does that to gain performance. Octopus does that to help small chains launch. It's a very transparent and available piece of information that the Halborn audits of Octopus Network cite centralization risk, because all of the contracts of Octopus Network are administered by the Octopus Network team. And I have never had those admin keys, nor do I want any proximity to them. That's perfectly fine from a liability perspective. I'm an American. There's no benefit to, sort of putting me in the middle of this existing regulatory nonsense, even though I'm not physically in the country right now. And that's always how I felt about it since August 2021, is that I understood that, regulators were getting stupider and something was coming. So I was like, hey, respect, I need to be hands off to that degree. So inside Octopus, knowing that means that there are 4 different types of contracts that interface with every single chain in order to keep their token contracts on Near operating. Who retains and custodies the keys of those contracts? It's not the individual app chains themselves, it's Octopus Network. So that means when DEIP, and this is all public information, when DEIP left the Octopus Network ecosystem last year, it was the result of a decision that was made on the administrator side, on the centralized side, and the contract was orphaned from the chain. The people who own the chain stated that they were giving up on their mission, that they were literally going to stop doing anything. So that was what we did, is to try to get some validators safely to liquidity. And then it didn't exactly go as any policy I drafted said it should have gone. And this was, by the way, the day before our 1-year anniversary. October 7th is the date of this event if you're looking this stuff up. But basically, that chain lost access to its economy on the layer 1 because that is the entire service that Octopus Network offers, which is the ability to launch your own app chain pretty easily and then connect to liquidity of L1. What is that? That is a hub type relationship and a relay chain type relationship combined, because you can get compute out of Near, you can get compute out of other adjacent structures. So that's useful. But what I did all there to say was to set up that Octopus Network is a sacrifice of trust. And I've said this before, is a sacrifice of trust and security ultimately in order to get performance and lowered costs. So that's why it is cheap as dirt to operate on these app chains. It's not because they are, low price tokens versus the dollar. It's because we're supporting them with 4 validators of last resort. It's because we maintain the RPC interface, the default one for those chains. They're welcome to pop up their own RPC interfaces, and we encourage them that they do. They usually don't. They're leaning on us to spend that money because we promise to do that as their partner. So being a services firm is one way to get this sort of client, Teke, for example. And I think that it's quite reasonable to say, hey, if you're launching something that's smaller and more like a solo chain, and your product kind of like needs to grow up in prod, then we'll help you. We'll literally give you free resources. That's not the kind of offerings that we're looking at basically every other app chain system, because when Polkadot is putting its thumb on the scale of the trilemma, which we can start talking about that a little bit more as well, the sort of differentiation in the trilemma for them is liquidity. If you look at Polkadot ecosystem, there's a pretty massive economic shock that happened to them. This is just being transparent. This is not hater shit, right? There was a $2 billion oopsie in that ecosystem for a stablecoin that was coming out of one of the oldest DeFi products. And I have great sympathy for that oopsie, because otherwise they seem to be doing okay. I didn't think they made a wildly great DeFi product, but it wasn't bad for a chain that's whole value prop was based on trading and interesting tools and stuff. But that economic gap is a perfect exemplification as how Polkadot is completely focused on compute. They're positioning themselves for institutions, so that's completely different from the type of security that we were talking about at Octopus, right? Versus, sort of single issuer that you have to trust, versus here's the relay chain. The relay chain is the institution. There's multiple operators. They all roll up to parity software for updates, but still, this is the institution. It is the council of operators, if you want to call it that, from a human perspective, for those who aren't so nerdy. But that means that what you're getting in that sort of like choice in the trilemma is you're really getting a lot better compute, but you're getting less good liquidity. And it is sort of infamously hard to bridge with Polkadot, which is why Polkadot does such good work advocating for Axelar, a trustful bridge solution. I appreciate that they do. I love the Aster guys to death. But realistically, Polkadot Eco has not a great series of pathways in and out of it, liquidity sense. Whether you're talking about centralized exchanges, where there are many, many assets listed, to be fair, they worked hard on that, and also decentralized exchanges, or even reasonably centralized validator exchanges, or whatever. We'll go over the 3 types of bridges another time, but whether they are centralized or decentralized exchanges of assets, there's just not that much liquidity for Polkadot. They are much more the institutional play, because that's what they did with their big piles of investment money, is focus on being more like a cloud replacement and less like a service that helps small chains running. It's more like, hey, we want to offer you really high grade infrastructure for it. The price is the price. The price is the price. So that's a whole thing about parathreads that we'll get into another time. But basically, well, actually, no, we should get into it right now. What am I saying? This is the Sheldon Show, apparently. So you can cut me off anytime you want, Teke. I talk. So
yeah, I was going to ask. What do you describe as you've mentioned severally small chains, or how do you describe small chains? It doesn't mean like I want to know what you mean by small chains, and what would you call a small chain?
So I would say that a small chain is a product that has moderately low complexity and is not looking to necessarily engage a series of verticals or a mass market. They're looking for not a niche, but they're looking for a specific target market. Like, example, the biggest app chain in Octopus right now is Myriad. their target market is social media users who need to still be integrated with Twitter but want to get off Twitter. Like, that's not a terrible positioning. That is a market, right? There are people there that fit that description, that want that, right? Is that an easy way to go about managing a product? No. Polkadot's products are really more positioned to, hey, this is something great for everybody. This is tooling, etc. And the same is true in Cosmos, honestly, for even if you're not looking at DEXs, even if you're looking at things more like the Raccoon chain and all kind of other stuff, like I think that the idea of doing something small and growing it is really what the solo chain model is to say, hey, we want to get this idea in production because we don't want to be so victim to venture. We want more people to participate in the chain instead of investing in us and then putting sell pressure on our asset. It's not crazy to go the solo chain route in Cosmos or anywhere else and get started. And Cosmos is probably one of the best places to do the truly solo chain route. But solo chains, I think, are marked by that, literally by low complexity and by less wide markets of appeal. When I think about how many people in the world know what chess is, whether they're in the West or not, that makes me think just from a start, that's already a bigger funnel than just about every other app chain product that I'm familiar with, including most products in Web3, because there are far more people who have played chess in the world than have ever touched a blockchain of any type. So just to say that, but at the same time, going further than that, because it's not supposed to be specific to the ChessOnchain. This is not the question that you ask. I apologize. I get excited. Bottom line, the idea of multiple integrations, i.e., doing signatures with multiple other blockchains such that you can validate your identity on another chain, doing that sort of thing with multiple other entities, to me already separates a sort of like solo chain from something that isn't what Polkadot would call a parachain, but is something larger, is an expanding product, covers a larger range of users. It's not necessarily about the physical validators. I'm sure if I had more brain cells, I'd have a third requirement, sort of. But the truth is, I think that the complexity is really a significant part of it, because if you're appealing to a really small group of people and you're just making sure that the economics make sense for, like, I don't know, a specific type of chemical research engineer who wants to do some specific weird compute AI stuff, and you're making a blockchain out of it, crazy. Don't do that necessarily. But anyway, my point is that if you're at that higher level of complexity, but you're still appealing to a small market, then congratulations, you've probably made a beautiful niche product. And that's great, but those are much harder to make a multi-relationship worldly thing. What kind of partnerships does our super science chain have? The super science chain is going to partner with other people who are sort of on theme, and then have liquidity? Like, what else? What kind of application data could possibly be exchanged? What other projects are interested in that? Who's tokenizing that on some weird derivatives exchange, right? Maybe defund. But like, I think that I'm joking about that, by the way. I thought it was funny that we could tokenize almost anything from any chain with those guys, and it was awesome that I bumped into them in person. But the complexity and the wide appeal thing is, I think, where you get started. If you look at every chain that's successful in Cosmos and every chain that's successful in Polkadot, they both share at least, let's say, two strong value proposition components, like one that's a little bit more major and one that's slightly auxiliary. They all have at least this. And then multiple components of their software that are not unique to them necessarily, or that are not unique 100%, but that are unique in the way they've implemented them. Like, I'm not saying bespoke solutions, but if you make something that's too easy and too simple, prepare to be forked. If your value proposition is that you make NFTs that are literally just blank space, congratulations, you're going to have a billion copycats tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I think that those are the two ways that you would really define it. I'm trying to think who else we should be giving a fair stab as an app chain ecosystem. I'm struggling a little bit. I mean, AVAX is supposed to be in that list, but their consensus is bound to a single party. So I'm iffy about
Sheldon,
that.
I have a quick question. So I actually had a question that I typed down so I wouldn't forget. But there's Ambito also had a question. You had said something earlier where you said there should not be one chain that only has one specific use.
No. I don't. I might have said that literally. I might have said that literally. It's not what I meant to say. I'm so sorry if I said that literally.
Yeah, but I
Um,
wrote it down real quick because I'm pretty sure I heard you say that. So can you explain what you meant?
I'm 100% sure what I meant, if it's not what I said, is that there is no one specific purpose that should only have one chain, i.e., we shouldn't be trying to make all of the money in the world based on Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin. Bitcoin's great. My life savings is in Bitcoin and Litecoin. But at the same time, I'm not rushing to make Bitcoin the only money. I think that is psychotic. That is against the concentration of power principles that we're literally trying to manage in the Bitcoin network. Does that mean that, well, Sheldon, why don't you want Bitcoin to replace all government currencies? No, I think Bitcoin as digital gold is a great backstop for the dollar and a great way to repeg global currencies to another value and all kind of shit like that. But I'm using Bitcoin as an example, but also I think that eventually others will arise to try to compete with ChessOnchain. There are different things, like I think there's a widget on Near Social or something like that. There's different people trying to, do other things. That doesn't mean that they would do anything half as interesting or half as worthwhile or half as challenging as actual multi-chain distributed identity, chess, because that's really the concept, right? Is that, multiple
Yeah.
chains would be able to keep record, et cetera, et cetera.
So, okay, and then thank you. And then my other question is, Ambido said if someone wanted to explore the Near ecosystem for the first time, where would be a good place to start? And what are some cool things to do in the ecosystem?
Sure, good question. I'll take that one because I do like Near, and it's in the headline here. Thank you for that question. So I think awesomenear.com is a really great place to start. Because I'm hyper transparent. It is run by D1 Ventures, which is a known investor in the Near ecosystem. They're an investor in Octopus. I've spoken to them multiple times. Those guys are excellent. They're very wise about how they manage ecosystem plays. They are generally trying to do cool things. So I do like, hey, D1 is cool. The guys who run that website are cool. If there's something wrong and you submit the information, they do their best to update it quickly. Awesome Near has about 1,000 projects listed. A lot of them are dead. A lot of them are half baked. It's just people launch stuff and run off. It happens in bull markets, right? So there are a handful of different things that Tech and I have looked at before for rewards. There's a handful of things that I think people will challenge the ethic of. Let's start there. Yeah, let's start with the place where ethics is weird. Yeah, that's fun. Inhyped.com. INHYPED.com. I'll put it in the comments if you want me to. Inhyped is a platform where you can pay for people to retweet you. You use your funds on chain and you say, hey, here is the link of the tweet or comment. Please retweet this. I'm willing to spend this much Near and I would like to have this many retweets. And it automatically does the math and shows you, hey, this is what each person is going to get paid for a retweet. And common culture on there is to pay about a penny, somewhere between a half a penny and 5 cents roughly for tweets. There is seemingly not an extremely high volume of users there. I would estimate there's not more than 100. So this is something that I actually think is valuable that's happening on Near. And of course, the founder is being Anon still, and I'm very proud for him. And he's actually probably a little bit uncomfortable if he hears me talking about this stuff. I did tell him once that I would not be too loud about Inhyped. But since then, I've introduced Inhyped to Near governance as a social faucet. The idea is simple. If you are willing to retweet me, it's not that I'm necessarily paying you, because it's not really worth the trouble of you getting the Near and trying to retweet everybody's mother and then go liquidate $5 worth of Near and find out that you're caught up in the fees and you got to go farm it again. Like, nobody's farming this. It's not really farmable from a human perspective, because if you request 100 retweets, you don't really get them, and that's how it should be. Because as a social faucet, you're just asking the people who are already on that platform to be willing to retweet you and accept the reward. They might have already been the people reading the tweet, but the idea that they would follow in behind you and be willing to retweet for a penny or two, I think it's actually really appropriate. You could challenge the ethic of that, but I would say in turn, what about Twitter silencing me because I'm not using the keywords that are popular when I'm literally trying to tell people about shit that's happening, whether it's the government or Cosmwasm or Polkadot or Near. When I'm not using hot keywords that are trending at the moment, nobody fucking sees that shit. I'm super happy that Inhyped exists so that I can, in those moments, throw down $1 and say, hey guys, I really need this to get seen. Are y'all cool with 10 cents per tweet? I think the highest I've ever paid before is 50 cents. But that's the idea, is the same way that a gas market works. You can do a social market that actually defeats social media platforms outside the platform with a reasonable record. So I am effectively on-chain depositing into that platform. So the amount of money that I've put in is known. The amount of money that people withdraw from the platform is also public information on chain. But what actually happens on the platform is just your record. It's bound to your key. It is semi-decentralized. It's bound to your near account. So that means that the information, the log of your stuff, it is literally saved on that site. It is not saved on chain as itself. It's saved on chain as a copy of the data, basically a receipt. So I like very much the idea that I'm paying for ethical retweets, to stop hammering up about that, because that is something I use frequently. Now, there's also a few little, fun gambling things that are like DeFi, like near crash. You can throw in some money, and then, you never know when the roulette will stop, and then you get all the money that was in the pot because other people are throwing in money. It's cute. I mean, I honestly don't like stuff that is just kind of, DeFi and gambly, but hey, here's a fun way to do it that actually evades, legal stuff pretty nicely, and it's just a really simple, hey, we're going to put money in a pot and see what happens. Okay, surprise, you're the winner, you're the last one put money in. That stuff's cute. There is a lot of other things to do. I think it's worth noting that Ref Finance is probably the prime DEX that's operated by proximity. There's a lot of really good features on there. You can buy near directly with money and blah, blah, blah. But more importantly, Ref Finance has something unique. Sorry, Robo's getting me sick. So Ref Finance has something really unique. Love you, buddy. The only thing that I can describe this as is live inter-platform DEX. Like, I know that Osmosis has active connections with other products and IBC relationships, etc. But imagine if Osmosis and some random DEX on Evmos could be making a swap that involved a liquidity pool of one on one side and one on the other, and then one would request it and the other one would reply with the liquidity, and then volunteer some back into the other side in the form of a different asset. Like, there is this crazy hot potato going on between Ref Finance and Trisolaris, which is the oldest DEX on Aurora, which is an EVM built on top of Near protocol. A lot of people end up going there because they like the EVM experience better. Please stay in the Rust land. You'll like it better if you hang around for longer. The benefit of all of that is that the ETH degens who do want to have their own little MetaMask grade experience on a faster than Ethereum platform, all of that liquidity is shared with the main DEX on Near, Ref Finance. So that means the most important liquidity pools have not just one platform of users or one UX of user or one type of user. There's multiple. Other things to do, really big shout out to Mike Purvis for developers, Croncat. Croncat is the fucking coolest thing that nobody knows about. It's if this then that for crypto. It's basically that you can monitor events and based on those events trigger other actions, as long as you know what those actions are in advance. Mike was basically brought to Near based on the technology, and that was what he dropped down. And like, dude, I didn't get to talk to him about it for a long time, but when I finally did, he was like, yeah, I can see why you like it, because yeah, you're nerdy enough for this. Absolutely. I'm like, dude, I'm more than nerdy enough for this. Thank you so much for putting cron jobs on chain. It's the simplest thing. I just needed a clock. I just needed an event listener. Thank you. So if this then that on chain, big shout out to Mike Purvis, because Croncat is really cool, just straight up. There's a couple other things with like pixel art and, trying to dominate the tiles so that you can, sort of buy up the space like an infinite auction of a mosaic where you're buying up a piece of the mosaic each time. And, people are trying to like take over little areas and draw things in with their ability to control the mosaic and stuff. I thought that was kind of a fun art game. I feel like there's a couple others that I'm forgetting. There's definitely some like richer games that have been building for a while that got a little bit nervous around the bear market. People doing lots of off-chain integrations, but that stuff's not in prod right now, so I'm not going to hype it up too much. Just from a key perspective, from a sort of like non-Web2 familiarity perspective, if you're actually developing something really secure, Near is really familiar to people who understand key management. So that is how some products translate into something confusing. But I think the other thing that you should do, honestly, when you log on to Near, to finish this up, because I hear myself and I need to get some water, is getting your name because I am cryptois.near. I highly encourage you to get something. Let me explain why I'm not Sheldon.near. Well, that name is reserved. The person who sort of started the first marketplace to do the name services is, I think, an old employee or at least one of the guild members or something. And I don't necessarily know who it is. So I decided that I was going to register cryptois.near. And then as soon as I realized I couldn't register my name, I said, okay, I remember we used to do this shit back in the day. Can I send this guy a memo? Can I send him a transaction with a little note? If someone is nerdy enough to like name services and run it on a platform like Near, they might actually be nerdy enough to notice if I message them. So I know the account who owns Sheldon.near is a certain account that is very old that did start that platform. And I have not messaged them yet because I've not gone full guns on this. I like crypto.near. I got used to it, but I still want Sheldon.near. So I'm going to be buying that off of the person who owns it, which is the marketplace. And the reason I'm mentioning this is not to hype up the marketplace, because there's actually a couple of them and they all work just fine. You can look up if you want to find name services on Near or names on Near. Buying it natively in the Near Foundation sponsored wallet is easy, but that's not the marketplace, right? That's just the initial picking of your name. What I mean to say is that the reason why you would get your Near name is not to just have a I guess that was Bbandz saying goodbye. Thanks so much for hanging, Bbandz. Appreciate you. One of the reasons I say the name is important is because you can send messages to somebody else if you know their name. So I messaged the Sheldon.near account on another platform. I think it's called Near Chat. I still have the tab open, but like I said, I'm a recovering stoner. So if you go to Awesome Near and you search message or chat or messaging, I'm sure it'll come up. I think it's Near Chat. But you can literally just have private conversations based on key pairs that are made on chain, meaning that you can be better privacy than Signal by just going to a website and having a blockchain address that's built into your browser. So
we did get a DM, you're right, Sheldon. Yeah, Bbandz, she had to run. She's got an appointment at the gym, hasn't she? So she's hung on for as long as she could, but she didn't want to interrupt at the same time, you know.
She's sweet, yeah.
Yeah, she's a great host. I see we've got a home pleb up here. Ambedo, I hope you got some alpha there, brother. Just when he wanted, he'll be over there having a little play on there. Yeah, home pleb. Welcome up, brother.
Hey, Robo, how are you, man?
Oh, dude, I'm hungover to death. Jesus, I'm like death warmed up, brother.
I saw that message last night and I had replied kind of in jest. And then I thought about, well, shit, did I drive him to like busting out the fucking bottle and watching Quadrophenia? That movie's like fucking 4 hours, bro, if you were drinking through the whole rock opera.
No, I stayed up and jumped on the white whale bloody Spaces, didn't I? Oh my fucking God, do not let raccoons on Spaces at 3 o'clock in the morning, please, for the love of God.
That was so funny, bro. I listened back, man. That is hilarious. Everybody should go in on Robo's timeline and find the tweet he did about the white whale community call and just listen back, man. It's comical gold.
If you want the full crack, like the build up to that bit, you need to listen at about 1:16 where we start talking about the block time. But then as we got into it and I got a bit passionate, I was like, okay.
I think it's very funny, but it's also a shame that it's recorded because RAC FM basically just lost all Juno funding possibilities in a matter of 2 minutes.
Oh, I really do need to re-listen then, huh?
Literally just skip 1 hour, 1:16 and just sit back and enjoy it. Oh my God. When I said 9 seconds is way too long, people sitting there in the box shorts start wondering what they're doing with their fucking life. I couldn't help myself. Anyway, Sheldon, honest to God, you've been an absolute superstar. Tonight we've got like a 10-minute warning from Finn, guys. Because he says we're pushing it. The 2 hours has become 2 hours 20 regularly, Bruce, hasn't it? The last few weeks, right?
Oh, yeah. We're trying to push the limits of Finn's rule books and experience, yeah. But it's a fun little
just make
game
me the
we
host.
have.
I'll rename it. Yeah, hey, no problem. I'll just take over. I'm a raccoon, right? So can I just take over? Oh no, it's recorded. Oh, okay. I was playing.
You guys, I'm going to start blaming you for single-handedly ruining Finn's ability to do this with all your time overages.
Oh,
Are we butting into another Cosmos space? Are we stepping on somebody's toes right now?
Nah, we don't care anyway.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking, and it's not even a good one.
Fucking had me, goddammit.
You got Scooter all nervous there, man.
Nah,
We-
I'm
we
just being a
own-
pleb.
We own this time slot, Sheldon. People don't even bother anymore these days. They might try and front run us and get on half an hour early so they get the audience, but people generally leave that 8 a.m. EST slot, and of course the West Coast are not even up, right? They're like 3 hours behind, yeah?
There is no morning show like this anywhere. If I was living on the West Coast, I think I would have to occasionally wake up early for this show. I did it by accident.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the first time Sheldon came in, man, and he just had like the best jazz music going in the background when and he didn't put himself on mute. So we were just cracking on, and all you can hear is this like beautiful proper background music, like if you're in an elevator or something. That was a great space, that. When you came
I
over.
love jazz.
Yeah,
What jazz do you listen to? Yeah. What jazz do you listen to, Sheldon?
Well, realistically, it was supposed to be like Muzak. I don't know if you know what that means.
I know exactly what it means, and I fucking love that shit.
Yes, so that's the idea, is that I found this YouTube streaming channel that is just these guys, and it's just their work, and they're just happy to have people watching, and they're like, hey, please support us at this website, donate if you like our jams, because it's just like really long jams that are looped and, played over many hours, right? So it was just stuff that I had running in the background, like in the house infinitely, because me and my roommate and ex had kind of gotten used to that. That was just an easier way of having, instead of dead air in the house and then something, I was like, oh yeah, no, it must, maybe it's a little coffee shop in here. So I think the thing I should mention though is because there's other people who play background music and who try to put a speaker up to their phone and blah, blah, blah. I think the reason it sounded so nice is because I always buy sound bars that have like very specific configurations for driver layout and phase. So it actually like envelops the room really well without an echo, but it's still like pretty warm and makes it sound like, Tiny Desk concert-ish. So I think that's the timbre you're talking about. That's the sort of like quality of the tone that Robo liked so much. I'm worried I'm not going to be able to reproduce it without being in my living room.
Don't worry about it, man. But like this mosaic, it's designed to make you very comfortable and relaxed and just consume more products.
Yes, everything is fine. Just enjoy.
Exactly. I fucking love it. But yeah, I think it's time to wrap up this space, man.
We're not far away, buddy. Correct. Yep, guys. Remember.
Oh, hey, actually, wait, no. Give old homie a chance. Homie, you want to throw a tomato? I'm loopy like I haven't been in a while. I'm sleep deprived. You did ask to come up. Like realistically, if you want to poke and prod, this is the reason I came on all messed up instead of trying to reschedule. Is like, hey, gimme. What do you got? Anything? Jabs at octopus? Something? Because I'm used to them.
We've got 5 minutes left, exactly. There you go. You've got 5 minutes, crew. Come on, buddy.
Okay.
Jump up.
Okay. No, just a quiet duck. Okay, well, quit pointing that gun at my friend. It looks like you're pointing that gun.
Come on, home pleb.
Well, I came up when B said that it was just chat at that point. And then Sheldon still went on the Gigabrain stuff, so I kept myself shut up because I was just going to jump in and chime in on what Bruce was saying and say, like, you'll never feel like such a pleb in your life as when you walk into the Dutch sandwich shop and they serve you the open-faced sandwich and you're an American, 20-something, and you have never experienced this in your life, and you're supposed to eat it with a fork and a knife or something, I don't know. And you'll never know the experience of feeling like a pleb until something like that happens. So, Brucey, I know it. And the sandwiches are top-notch.
Right? It's a whole different game, man. But talking about the Americans and the open-faced sandwich, so I have a friend of mine who is a very highly educated chef within this fucking niche of open-faced sandwiches, right? She won prizes and everything. And she has a little cafe where she serves a different, very, very, very limited, I can't talk right now, man, variety of these open-faced sandwiches. And one of them is something called chicken salad. And it's just homemade mayo and chicken all stirred up, right? And it's just really greasy. And I've seen fucking tourists pick this up with their hands and just fucking mush their fingers down in the fucking chicken salad and eat it like a normal sandwich. And I'm baffled every time I witness this. So baffled, and it's so weird, but people, I don't know.
You're right, my guy. I forgot that the sandwich thing is normal. Like I knew that. I mean, this is a weird space. It's just like Robo's trash. I'm a mess. Like, oh man, this has been fun.
Holy fuck, bro! It's one of the fucking best big brain spaces I think we've had there recently. Normally they just turn into absolute carnage and chaos and that, like. And I know for a fact people sitting down in the audience, there's people at work in the Fiat mine and shit, right, grinding away, and they're just like with this in the background, like listening, happy. That I do know. Yeah, very man. Happy. Thank you for today. Thank you for today. You know, Sheldon, we really do appreciate. Like, it was a very, very good, entertaining night. Like, dude, I wish I could have been a bit more compass mentis. But man, I can be excused once in my life. You know, it's been a heavy couple of weeks with these shows, Brucey, right?
It has, but it's nice. It's enjoyable, man. I like it.
Oh, I'm just. I got 2 weeks in the game. Says Bruce. He's like 2 weeks in the game, and he's like stretching and flexing on me. He's like, "What you talking? Try 12 months of this, Bruce." Tell ya.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, man. I'm also unemployed, so I have so fucking much time on my head. Yeah, but I got a month to find a real job. But until then, you definitely got me 24/7.
That's the most Dutch 15 seconds you've said anything this whole show.
Bro, telling you, rough fucking day to day at the work as well. You know, only work a couple of days a week and at the work today. Oh my goodness me! I was like looking at myself in the mirror like this morning at like 8:15, just thinking, what are you doing with your life? Just shaking my head, looking at myself like, my fucking God. But I got there.
FYI, I'm Danish, not Dutch.
Oh shit! Sorry, gray matter coming out of my ears. My bad.
Oh, amazing!
Don't worry, bro. Don't worry.
That's so good, that. Right, Brucey. Yep, it's a shame we lost Bbandz, but woman's got to go and work out. She's got to flex, you know.
Yeah, man. She got to keep that husband of her in check, man. She got to keep the dominance, the pants.
Exactly. And there's our two grafters, our two artists down underneath there. You can see I'm Bedo in there, Brasco in the listener section. Shout out, lads. Look at those PFPs, man. The 16-bit racks are beautiful, aren't they? I'm going to have to show the one off that I got off Bruce, because it's legit as fuck. Like, I just was giving him a few days before I bring out the flag of glory for him. But yeah, man. Oh, look, Starlight's popped in again as well. He's becoming a regular, isn't he?
Starlight, Straylight, goddammit.
Straylight, that's the one. See, I told you I was hungover. Anyway, Sheldon, I'm just going to say, I'm going to ask Bruce if he wants to say anything, but just I hope you don't get like run over out in Bali. Make sure you get yourself a full face helmet, because like I would feel far more secure if you did. The ratio of what I know, a full face helmet is gonna save your life, right? Trust me.
You're not wrong. You haven't seen how I treat this husk of a creature, but yes, I promise you I will work on getting a helmet, because regardless of my 20-something's childhood gallivanting, I should protect my brain.
Remember, I had like a 350 baht, like at the time, whatever, $12 hat on, right? Motorcycle helmet, and I crashed. And it split open like a watermelon. And I fractured my skull, right? Trust me, if you're going to be, I mean, you said you might be moving or whatever, but if you are in a place for like long enough, if there are essentials, absolutely essential. I would never go any distance like without one, especially not on that Bali roads out of the like towns and that. Fuck that. Anyway, take care, dude. That's all I want to say. Wear a helmet, right? Brucey, you want to say anything to him?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much, Sheldon, for coming on and sharing your thoughts and ideas and morals and values and everything, man. And your ankle scrapes. Really appreciate it.
All of it. Always a pleasure, guys.
Yes, mate, you've got some fucking great takes, like great fucking takes. I'll be going back and listening to this, because there was especially some stuff that I really want to do when you were talking about the security and that. But yeah, man. Hey, pop in on the open mic shows, Sheldon, whenever you like. You know the door's always there for you, brother, right?
Always a pleasure.
Right, guys, last thing to say. Thank you very much to Sheldon and Bruce and Bbandz. Thanks to you guys, right, popping in. Legends in the room. The NFT soon as like Sisler gives the go ahead, I believe that the snapshot's been taken, we're going to drop the first ever exclusive one-on-one, like on chain properly, not like the Juno ones we've done. They were more like minted for projects, yeah. And obviously, there's no marketplaces or anything, but this is going on Omniflix. We're going to drop it, and I just wanted to say it's our first one, right? Check this out, Ambedo. 335 signups we've had. That is fucking amazing, that I think. How good is that, Brucey?
I fucking agree, man. It's the record of this type of NFTs, right? In the whole space. No one has been able to claim so many on spaces.
Oh, no, I don't know about that. Sister would know, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about like something like maybe Cosmoverse or something. I can imagine they were pretty high, yeah. But nevertheless, it's still like RAC FM pushing forward. As long as like we can support like one another, right, in the way that we do, yeah. You were the host, and you know, I'm trying to get these business, like, these guys funding, like they're producing, like it's so fucking cool. Brasco's been knocking some amazing stuff out as well, right? Anyway,
every time, man.
Yep, we're gonna do 10 NFTs, and then soon it's gonna get mental. But we talked about this a bit last night, so I'm not gonna talk too much. But yeah, snapshot. Soon as he's got in touch. And I'll let the team know, and then we'll drop it right to everybody, yeah? So, yeah, once again, guys, take care. We are back next week. This should be a mad show next week. We have got Soy 2 Studio and Jessica.Cosmos coming up, right? That's going to be a good show. I'm telling you, she's mad as a box of frogs, so we should have some banter. And we've got the NFT roundtable coming up. And then what's the other one we've got, Brucey? Isn't there another one?
Oh, yeah, there's one more. I was looking at the schedule today, actually. Now I'm confused.
I can't remember what it is. I know there's the NFT roundtable.
Oh, yeah, I remember what it is.
What?
His name is Will.
Oh, yeah, Will Chen. Oh, how did I forget that? Oh, Sheldon, you want to listen in on that one? Will Chen, right, this week, Wednesday. It'll be like Wednesday, same time as like tonight. So if it was like 8 p.m. for you, yeah. He's in Indonesia, actually. I'll be talking to him, yeah. So that should be brilliant. Yeah, that'll be like Wednesday night your time, like 7 o'clock my time, 7 p.m. So guys, listen, there's another fucking week of programming. You've got like 3 shows coming up that should be pelters. NFT roundtables, always great. So yeah, man, tune in, right? Turn on, tune in, and drop out, and I'll see you gangsters on the dark side. All right, take care, bye.
See you, Scooter.
It's the RAC show coming from the RAC store. This back in the Mac in the backflow. Let's go, chillin' with raccoons by the back door. Take calls so you can stake more. All I wanna do is making dough, right? But I found this crew and doing alright. We RAC will bitch, ready to fight. So many raccoons ready for the boss life. I might fly high like a kite, right? But always ready for a shite for the right price. Raccoon supply has the right price. Giving you respect if it's likewise. So I'm buying all the mean guys with the clean heart. Read between lies, laser beam through lean eyes. Larry or with clean lies, trash mouth, mean smile, be wise. NFT wise, fuck with these guys. It's the RAC rap from the back lab. 100 NFTs in my backpack. Crazy RAC rap from the stash app. RAC will take a lead in this haystack. It's the RAC rap from the back lab. 100 NFTs in my backpack. Crazy RAC back from the stash app. RAC will take a lead in this haystack. Blast that RAC rap from the stash app. Supplying the raccoons with a headbang rap. RAC gang with the RAC will slang like a trash can. Hoodie with fangs and a gold chain. It's either RAC will or the red pill. Best chill while we get into the first meal. Best feel, best devs with the best skill. No shill, all real, secret is a great deal. RAC will insane, Shane better stand fast. Robo shooting his tweets with straight facts. Knowledge from the street, with the best plan yet. Winston gotta eat if you retweet that. Free alpha live feed from the base camp. McKenna always ready if you dare that. Buying all raccoons for his rare stash. Trash panda biker gang, motherfucking hashtag. It's the RAC rap from the back lab. 100 NFTs in my backpack. Crazy RAC rap from the stash app. RAC will take a lead in this haystack. It's the RAC rap from the back lab. 100 NFTs in my backpack. Crazy RAC back from the stash app. RAC will take a lead in this haystack.
Oh, look who's here. Finn's up out of bed as well. Grab that there, co-host Bruce, while I share this, bro. No music today. I'm fucking way too ill for that, like. Robo's hung over to fucking death, like, so didn't expect big things today, fellas. All right? Hey, Bruce.
Okay. Hey, man. We won't. You were out on the piss yesterday, huh?
Bro, why are you so quiet? Like, as in really fucking quiet there, like, yeah?
You can't hear me? What?
Hardly. I don't know if it's just me or what, like, bro, but you are, like, incredibly quiet.
Okay, let me just try something.
Turning up or not?
Let me try something. Be right back.
No worries. I've just checked my volume. I'm up 100%, yeah?
How's this?
Nah, I wonder if it's me getting rugged 1 minute.
Just getting the pre-spaces buggies out the way.
La 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 la. How do I sound?
Beautiful.
Wow, guys, what's going on? I've got an insane volume problem. Like, I can hardly hear you guys.
Shit, we got to get you an iPhone. I hate saying that out loud,
No,
but
wait a minute. I'm going to take this out 1 second. Right, Bruce, I've just took the mic.
1 2 1 2 1 2.
Test check. Robo.
Sheldon is a bitch. Sheldon is a bitch. Test. Sheldon is a bitch. Sheldon is a bitch. Test. I'm sorry.
It's a test. You can say whatever you want, guy.
Right? It's just a test, man.
Bro, there you go. That was Twitter. How mad is that? Like, literally, I logged out of Twitter twice and then the volume went up. Fucking bizarre, that, like.
That's dumb. Yeah, it does dumb shit to your drivers. I had to drop twice to come back just to get my headset to kick in. Man, I'm telling you, ever since this Exynos vulnerability where everybody's phone stopped working, everything's been. But hey, that's Spaces for you. We're still here for the foot traffic.
Oh, bro, I'm fucking sick of it because I believe it's costing us our like listenership. You know, people are like don't want to come back until it's fixed. You know.
Well, hey, you still know a network engineer, so from a network and audio perspective, because I did audio engineering also. You know, we'll get you set up. I don't care if we have to go full Apple nonsense. Like if you're running a Spaces channel, if you're running things like RAC FM, then I support it, man. I love RAC FM. I'll put money into it.
But what about the sound set up tonight? I mean, this is pretty decent tonight. This is all right, yeah?
Yeah, this is okay. Bruce, what do you think?
The sound?
Yeah, that's good. That's okay. Like, Robo, you always like, we don't know, man. I don't know what's up with your sound, but I think it's good today.
When I met Robo, that was the characteristic, is that his mic always clipped all the time because he was just a delightful madman. That was like part of your character, bro. Like I'm not mad at it at all. I mean, I hear you because now RAC FM is glowing and progressing and everything, but still, I think this is significantly better than that. This is higher bit rate than that.
I'm fucking dying over here, man. A delightful madman. Like I've never, like those two words together, I've never in my life.
I'm a poet, I know it.
I tell you what though, Sheldon, I do have a bit of a confession to make today. Oh, he's Bbandz, excellent. I do have a bit of a confession though, bro. I am fucking so hungover today. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like,
yo,
holy fuck.
Our time of the month must be syncing up or something because I've been getting sick since last night and I don't know why. I haven't been drinking, but to be fair, I smoked one Kretek the other day because I was stressed out. It was a really full day. I was sleep deprived. I had a bunch of stuff to do. Yeah, I feel like garbage, dude, man.
Yeah, I feel like garbage.
It's okay.
What's a Kretek? What's that?
You might know Djarum Blacks. It's a tobacco cigarette with clove in it. You know this one?
Correct, yeah.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, the clove cigarettes are massive, like in many parts of Asia, but Indonesia, they're absolutely obsessed with them over there.
Yeah, everywhere smells like them, and it's like honestly in the picture, that's the cigarette I'm smoking. I know that it's a regular ass cigarette in my Bad Kid PFP, but when I started smoking as a youngin', that's honestly what I was picking up was spiced tobacco cigarettes. I liked them, so I was just making dumb decisions and said, hey, let's see what the quality is like here. I haven't had one of these in a decade. Let's see what it's like. Well, that's what you get when you treat your body like a funhouse. So yeah, I think I'll be better tomorrow.
I don't even think I could smell one of those things right now. I think if I even smelled a clove cigarette, I would puke all over the place. Like,
it's like burning carpet, right?
Holy. I've got no idea how I got through today, man. At 5, I just literally laid down and I've just got up at like 6:40. I literally just went straight to sleep at 5 a.m. Just got up.
I did 3 a.m. to 4 or 7 a.m. twice this week. I haven't done it this morning. I got a few more hours this morning, but I was supposed to go to sleep after some meetings this morning, and there's stuff to do. So, man, I feel you. I'm hurting.
Bali's infectious like that, though. I mean, we'll talk about Bali in a minute, but Bali's got no chill. You can be up around 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at night, and it's like normal fucking day.
Pretty much. Yes. Oh, my dinner just arrived. Awesome. I got that.
All right, dude. We're gonna do the intro. You've got time, Sheldon, because we do like a little intro and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, we definitely have time. I will not slurp on the call. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Don't worry. You'll get your dinner. You'll get your dinner, son. Go on. Right.
Give me a chance to shut up.
Let's say a quick good morning. Let's say a quick good morning to Bbandz, and then we'll do the intro. Because I was hoping Finn might have joined us, but he's maybe. Don't know if he's gone back to bed or whether he's like, fuck that. I don't know, but we'll find out. So good morning,
Robo,
Bbandz.
that was so funny yesterday on that call that I was listening to, the white whale, when you came on. Oh my God. I stayed listening to the rest of it and I was just dying laughing. Oh my God, you're hilarious. You're fucking hilarious.
I don't even know what I'm doing on calls at like 3 a.m., but that's got to stop. Like, people's got to stop me, I'm telling you.
You're like, bro, what do I got to do to get a 3-second time? He's like, what, can I go make some tea or some shit? Oh my God. He's like,
when I'm on about sitting in your boxer shorts, fucking watching the raccoon pull the slot, like what you're doing with your life, like it gives you too much time to think like what you're doing. Oh God. Just take my devices away from me. That's all I'm saying, people. All right, Bruce? Bruce is responsible. Like,
I'll come, bro. I'll come. I'll fucking fight you. I'll fight you for the devices. I'll fight your dogs.
Hey, why do you think I keep trying to give him an iPhone? You know, I'm going to give him an iPhone and lock it down. We'll make that a managed device.
But Sheldon, the first thing he's going to do when he gets that iPhone.
How much fun would it be to have to give Robo a managed device and just kind of like cut the Wi-Fi when he's not behaving himself and shit?
Wow, come on, no, hey. You still have to have access to the device, so there are some limitations, right? But it's all application layer. So you know the idea that he would get locked into spaces is more appealing to me than the idea that he would get locked out. Because I could totally imagine just being put in his pocket and it's like fuck this, and pick us up like an hour later. I could totally play with you like that, Robo. I could imagine that. But still, no, we like sovereignty here. Managed devices are not the culture of RAC FM. It's fun to think about, but no, it's not the culture.
Bro, do you know what they did, man? I fell asleep on a space, right, a few weeks ago, man, and they all just left it on all night. I woke up the next morning, literally.
I came into that. Yeah, I saw that. That was funny, man. I was like, man, it finally happened to you Clubhouse style, bro. It was you and like 2 other people just snapping.
Bro, talk about like proper being showed up in public. There's nothing worse than being like Billy No Friends, like running your space like for fucking 6 hours and nobody comes. That's embarrassing, not like... Never mind. Do it for the culture. Right.
And I saw you napping. And I creeped out. I said, oh, he's sleeping. And I walked out.
Oh, that's so bad. And I was calling like Rama. I was calling like Rama for it as well. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. Afterwards, just pure cringy regret, you know. Right, guys, we've got a bit of a room. Normally, I'd put the music on until people came in, but I've got a bit of a hangover today. So what we'll do is we'll jump into the intro, because we need to keep Finn's programming, and you know what he's like. He wants consistency, especially on the Friday show. So let's kick it off, everybody, yeah?
TerraSpaces.